Yes, I'm early for once. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out doing Michael Strange stuff. I hope you guys are doing similar things that are resonant to you. What's up, Eric? Jeff and Wisco Sweets is here. Gaston, James, Daryl, and Michael W. What's up, Gordo over there on Rumble, holding down the fort till Hiker arrives to relieve him of duty. Indeed. What is up on YouTube? I see you guys getting started early. Thanks for jumping in here. I guess it helps if I start early, huh? What's up? First gets Sweets, of course. What's up, Mr. Mission Control? How you guys doing? Good evening. We've got, hello. Who did I miss? Let's see. Lucid Dreaming. What's up, Shane? The Blind Psychonaut. How you doing, buddy? Good evening. Michael W. Mr. Mission Control, I said. Hello, Richard in Texas. How you doing? Yeah, time to get weird. Exactly right. What's up, Michael Strange with the Strange Report? Kind of, right? What's up, Igno is here. What's up? Good evening. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up in about 30 seconds. And what's up, Gaston? I see you. And more wild ideas. It seems strange to me that a lot of this stuff, it might be me stuck in my own head, but I think sometimes, as we discover things scientifically, it kind of has that echo effect of, maybe sticking to some old theories that might be a little more have more traction than we ever gave them credit for. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds coming in, and 15 seconds. Here we go. Hold on to your butts. It looks like we got James sitting in. Thanks for popping in early. And here we go. Troubled Minds happening now.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Well, they won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're going to get weird again, per usual. That's kind of what we do anymore. But there's, as I like to say here, there's a ton of science always happening. We're learning new things every single day about ourselves, about where humans fit in sort of the larger galactic cosmos, and of course where we fit in the hierarchy of Earth itself, because that's where this all begins. And of course, well, yeah, let's get straight to this. Now, as usual, you guys know me. I'm looking for seed ideas, some way to kind of take a particular aspect of something and then just blow it out of the water and consider all of the wild angles and go cosmic with it. And in this sense, we'll start with this Wired.com story. Intelligence on Earth evolved independently at least twice. And that's straight from the headline. And complex neural circuits likely arose independently in birds and mammals, suggesting that vertebrates evolved intelligence multiple times. Now, that to me, of course, goes a lot of different ways. Now, first, it kind of brings to mind the idea of panpsychism a little bit, and that we're sort of growing or even racing with the vessel, sort of the biological vessel of how you're created, right? We're created. We're always evolving into this or that, and the vessel itself may be secondary, as we've said in the past. Sort of the consciousness as a primary aspect of this larger conversation, and maybe just maybe that the biological aspect needs to be so evolved to kind of gain an intelligence worthy of, I don't know, what, space travel, or worthy of astral travel? I mean, I don't know, like, I guess what level does that look like? And how do you define intelligence? As usual, it's complicated. And if you think it's not, then, let's talk IQ tests or whatever. I mean, it's complicated. It's very complicated. And I think I've always said this too regarding intelligence. I think it's one of those important things that we all have a bunch of, and it's just ours all work in a slightly different way, right? There's the math mind, there's the English mind, there's the people that can kind of do both. There's the, Leo da Vinci types that can, write cursive backwards with both hands. I mean, it's just an incredible thing that humans are able to do, not just through our own cognition, but the practice aspect that comes along with it. But then it also makes me wonder about what this means, this idea of sort of consciousness evolving separately across different species on planet Earth. And if we're only doing this twice, in this case, again, back to the article here, I'll read just a little bit of it, but if this happens twice, so again, intelligence on Earth evolved independently at least twice. What if it was more than that? We've got millions and millions of years of evolution. We've talked about the dinosaurs in the past, the KT boundary, 67 million years ago, the whole deal, right? The Chicxulub impact crater, all the stuff, okay? All the stuff. However, there's an interesting part of that which kind of harkens back to the idea of, I don't know, maybe the Slee Stack. Did you guys ever see Land of the Lost? Kind of came to mind as I was putting the show together. I was like, so what does this look like if you scale it backward and go, okay, so what about millions and millions of years ago? Maybe there were these great resets on Earth, and maybe at some point those dinosaurs were maybe a little smarter than we give them credit for, and maybe not the ones we find, but what about the ones that we didn't find yet? You think the Slee Stack are out there somewhere from Land of the Lost, the mole people, or whatever, right? Anyway, I'm gonna read a little bit from this article. This is fascinating as hell. Here we go. So humans tend to put our own intelligence on a pedestal. Our brains can do math, employ logic, explore abstractions, and think critically. But we can't claim a monopoly on thought. Among a variety of non-human species known to display intelligent behavior, birds have been shown time and again to have advanced cognitive abilities. Let's see. Yep. I read that. Okay, so I lost my place. Sorry about that. Ravens plan for the future. Crows count and use tools. Cockatoos open and pillage booby-trapped garbage cans. And chickadees keep track of tens of thousands of seeds cached across a landscape. Notably, birds achieve such feats with brains that look completely different from ours. They're smaller and lack the highly organized structures that scientists associate with mammalian intelligence, which is weird, right? An entirely different form of cognition that, I mean, maybe if things were just a little bit different, maybe the birds are the masters of the world and we're sort of, I don't know, hiding from them or something. I don't know. But anyway, so, quote, a bird with a 10-gram brain is doing pretty much the same as a chimp with a 400-gram brain, said Onur Guturgan, pardon my whatever that is, Icelandic, who studies brain structures at Ruhr University in Germany. How is it possible? So researchers have long debated about the relationship between avian and mammalian intelligences. One possibility is that intelligence in vertebrates, animals with backbones, including mammals and birds, evolved once. In that case, both groups would have inherited the complex neural pathways that support cognition from a common ancestor, a lizard-like creature that lived 320 million years ago. Enter the Slee Stack. I mean, conceptually, just for the gag jokes and whatevers, but I'm not seriously talking about the Slee Stack, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so when 320 million years ago, when Earth's colonists were squished into one landmass, Pangea, we miss you. The other possibility is that the kinds of neural circuits that support vertebrate intelligence evolved independently in birds and mammals. And so it's hard to track down which path evolution took, given that any trace of the ancient ancestors' actual brain vanished in a geological blink. So biologists have taken other approaches, such as comparing brain structures in adult developing animals, to piece together how this kind of neurobiological complexity might have emerged. Anyway, so this is a good time to drop the disclaimers. All the disclaimers apply. There's no truth to be found here. If you want truth, go read the articles here and kind of trace back some of the papers. It's there. They'll be linked in the description down below. As always, I like to give credit for the inspiration and all the places where that comes from. So do read the articles. I do encourage you to. There's a lot of great information in there. But as far as anything that comes out of my mouth, this is not truth. If you're here for truth, as I always say, you're in the wrong place. Notice I start open up right in the first little bit here. I'm joking about slee stacks from Land of the Lost. Okay. Now, were they real? Of course not. But what if? Okay. As usual, this is sort of an exploration of like Marvel's what if, except in our time, in our Earth and all the rest. So no truth, just ideas and possibilities. And that's that. So all those disclaimers do apply. And we are taking your calls tonight. All the things should be working, the phone line and everything else, if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Get in here and listen, or call in on the Discord as well. Of course, Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free, and it's a way that we communicate in the Troubled Minds fam. So if you haven't joined that, come say hi. troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link on top. And if you're not good with technology, we'll help you. We've trained hundreds and hundreds of people how to use it kind of together. So there's a lot of people who have gone through that learning curve and can help you. So don't be scared. Come say hi. Anyway, so that puts us about where we need to be. I'm calling this tonight the primordial signal and trinary cognition hypothesis. Now, does that sound made up? You bet your ass it's made up. Of course it is. That's what I do, right? I kind of look at ideas and stretch them as far as possible, and then we talk about it. And that's part of this, okay? So keep that in your back pocket, because we're going to get to the trinary cognition and what that means with different, not just the avian actual aspect of the birds, the mammals, but then we're going to get to cephalopods as well. And so you know how weird that gets. That gets very Dungeons and Dragons a little bit. That gets very Cthulhu. That gets very primordial intelligence. Anyway, that's where we're at for the moment. And let's get a word from our sponsor. In this case, Human Inspiration. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. We'll get hear from James in a second here as well. So hang tight, James. I'll get you after the break. And yeah, here we go. More Troubled Minds in 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, Human Inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support Human Inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
And welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? All right. So basically this. Now, the question really becomes, do you think that there's a race of different critters, different, again, mammals, the avian friends, our underwater friends, in that trinary cognition space that maybe it's cooked into not just Earth, but maybe even other spaces, because we're dealing with, you know, sort of the three of the four elements in this case, you know, the air, the birds, the water with the cephalopods and the whatever intelligence is going on down there. And then of course the mammals of the land. So I don't know. It seems strange here that as usual, a lot of this stuff does kind of echo back to primordial times and primordial ideas, but it doesn't seem that maybe this is what we're doing. We're sort of racing to see who can become intelligent first. And maybe in this case on Earth, or let's say this simulation of Earth, wink, wink, whatever that means, that's we mammals are the ones that kind of got smart first or fastest or the longest, or it persisted the longest and the rest. But what if it gets more weird than that? And what if this is the second or the third or the fourth or the 12th or the 80th iteration of intelligence sort of evolving in one species or another? And maybe those great resets have been, well, wiped off the planet. And who knows? As usual, look, no truth, just ideas. But that's where we begin. And again, so the primordial signal. And is there a race sort of through evolution to come into intelligence and, of course, in this case, secondary consciousness? Or is it, is that just a fool's errand and a crazy dream that Michael Strange, a fever dream of Michael Strange? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's go to James. Thanks for hanging tight, buddy. How you doing? Welcome to the joint. Thanks for jumping in here and being not just a good friend, but the glue of the show, and of course the paranormal expert of troubled minds and all the things. How you feeling, my man? Go right ahead.
I'm okay. Thank you for having me on, as always, to sit in with you. This is a great topic. Just in my mind, whenever it comes to different ways of consciousness developing or arriving, or intelligence arriving, all the different ways you want to put all that, it just makes me wonder if that's really the explanation behind so much of what we consider to be anomalous events or activities or situations that have arisen throughout time. Just makes me wonder if that's really the biggest part of all of that, at least as far as we can tell. And I always wonder about that. So this is a great topic.
Thank you. Glad to have you. And yeah, you sound great. And thank you for being here as part of it. This is, again, so it kind of goes back to a lot of different ways to look at this. Like, we do talk about very often on this show, if consciousness itself is primary, we're sort of born into it, and then it kind of coalesces into the vessel, which is us, the biological body. But what I'm asking further tonight, and as we get weird, is that, do you think that there's a race to this, and maybe different, sort of a different iteration of Earth? And this is good for the comics and sort of the different Marvel what if type of stuff. But on different planets, they have like the merman or whatever, right? Or those, is that here on Earth? I don't know. But what if that intelligence was the cephalopods or something to that effect? Or let's say the avian world were actually the larger intelligence, or beat us to that race. I mean, it seems very, blue chicken cult type stuff if you're following the ufology or whatever. But you know what I'm saying is that there's definitely in the realm of imagination things like, in a different sense, but very similar, as the Planet of the Apes, things like that, sort of that conscious cognition sort of evolving in a race between the different animal kingdoms. I don't know. What's your take on that? And of course, I think it does fit that larger conversation of multiversal realities, sort of re-rolling Earth in a simulation sense, or that type of thing. But anyway, what's your idea on that? Do you think that maybe we're dealing with something to that effect, or is that just too weird?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a race, but I do think that it can develop, intelligence and consciousness can develop in different ways. Just based on what I've heard about people talking about their pets and everything, and their animals they encounter, where they seem to be aware of just more than you might think they would be aware of. Whether it's people's cats or dogs or whatever, even just animals out in nature, creatures out in nature, they seem to, once you get to look into their eyes, whether you want to or not, in some cases, there just seems to be, you can sense something there. And I don't know if it happens through the eyes. I guess it's another topic altogether. But there does seem to be things there, and I think it can vary within each member of each species. In other words, not all cats or dogs act the same way, or seem to think the same way. So I do wonder if that's just another built-in feature to all this. If there's supposed to be all different kinds of not levels, but just types of intelligence and types of awareness of what's going on around us, and that leads to different personalities as well, or different traits. And again, personality I know has the word person in it, but I've definitely seen cats over the years act in different ways to where the word seems to fit still.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just the etymology of the word is less important here because everybody knows an animal, at least one that has definite personality. That's for sure. I mean, as part of this too, like this gets into, well, not just consciousness as being primary, the rest of that, but panpsychism, as I said. Let me read a little bit of this from the grok part. So some philosophers and scientists, like those discussed in panpsychism, propose that consciousness is a basic feature of all matter, not just biology. This means intelligence in creatures like birds, mammals, and octopuses, you decide, it could be an expression of a deeper signal in matter itself, resonating through evolution rather than being solely created by it. So, and beyond that, of course, consciousness beyond biology, there's a lot of ideas that kind of come with it in philosophy. But the idea that consciousness isn't confined to biology is supported by concepts like the noosphere, which is one of my favorites. We talk about that quite often. The theory from thinkers like Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, it suggests a collective human consciousness evolving into a planetary network, potentially awakening to higher awareness. This aligns with the notion that we might be part of a larger system and not just isolated beings. And as usual, a lot of ways to consider these ideas, but in that sense, I wonder, we've talked about this in the past when we bring up the noosphere, sort of this field of human ideas that encapsulates the globe. But also, there's got to be animal kingdom levels of this too, right? Like a noosphere of the ocean, possibly. I mean, is there cross-species communication beneath the waves, that type of thing? Do birds, singing and the lark or the wren, do they understand each other in some primordial sense? I don't know. It's a weird thing to consider all of this as it kind of comes together, especially when you think of that sort of the human field of ideas, and then kind of take that to the animal kingdom as part of this evolutionary aspect. I don't know. It's a wild thing to think and consider, and there's tons more to get to. Of course, I'll read some of this as we go, but your take on that?
Yeah, I think there has to be, just because of the way animals act with each other as well as with us. There's also accounts I've heard over the years of animals possibly being used as messengers or signs from spirits, from consciousness that is passed on out of the body, to serve as messages or as comfort to people. So where does that fit in? Where is the interaction between possibly the consciousness of someone that has moved on, at least out of the body, and then the consciousness of the animal that is being influenced? Is that the case? Is it a is it a willing thing that some animals will do to help other consciousness out there? I don't know. I know I'm kind of going really deep into the paranormal stuff, but that does seem to be part of this. But I do think that, yeah, animals, all different creatures out there, they seem to be able to react to each other and to other species that's out there. I'm thinking right now of how in nature, if everything gets really quiet, it's often because there's some predator, there's some dangerous other creature out there that is actively maybe out to attack some other being. Where you get this complete silence in nature, all the bugs stop, all the birds stop making sound, and eventually everything does pick up again when the danger has passed, whatever that danger may be. It makes me think of that especially.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I always think right when you're in the woods and that happens, I'm always like, Bigfoot. Bigfoot's here. Like everybody keep an eye out. Bigfoot has arrived. But yeah, it is there is certainly that language of not just silence, but the patterns and all the rest of that stuff, which brings us to some other questions as part of this conversation tonight. So convergent evolution, basically think of it this way: is intelligence a destination and not a fluke, not something that sort of evolves as we sort of grow and learn and change and all the stuff that happens just with our biological aspect? But also it's maybe a place we actually have to end up, and it's inevitable no matter what. And that would mean an alien concept as well. And so the question becomes this. So if intelligence emerges multiple times, what does that say about its role in life? 2, is evolution just survival? Or is it pattern recognition on a cosmic level? And back to that primordial signal I'm talking about. And basically one of the theories of intelligence, and there's many, like I said, try and define what intelligence is. It's complicated because some people have to include consciousness, others will not. But the actual intelligence itself is, I lost my thread. There was something really smart I was about to say and I lost it. But it'll come back in a second. That's what happens here. But anyway, so those are the questions as we start, and that pattern recognition aspect of intelligence here. And back to that primordial signal, it feels as if maybe this is where, not just where we're heading, but maybe where that ascension comes from. Eventually, as they said, when our next evolutionary state will be to the stars, and maybe not physically, maybe it'll be more remote viewing. Maybe it'll be more sort of out of body sort of travel, astral travel, this type of stuff. Like, who knows what that looks like, but I lost my thread entirely. It was really smart, I promise. I'll try and remember it for the next one, but that's what happens when you try and hip shot and unscript some stuff. But anyway, as you know, just about out of time. Got a quick take on that, and then we'll take a break and come back and take some calls.
Yeah, I do wonder also if there has to be different types of intelligence. Think about it this way. If we had all just writers, or we had all just mathematicians, or just engineers, would things still work? And I do wonder about that. And I don't think it would. I don't think everything would work very well.
Yeah, well, that's where we begin. Lots of great ideas so far. We're talking a primordial signal tonight. I'm calling it Trinary Cognition Hypothesis, the land, the sea, and the air. And are we in a race to get there? And if so, with intelligence, what does there mean? We've arrived. Where, though? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We're here with James tonight, the paranormal expert at Troubled Minds, Salcedo Paranormal, and taking your calls. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Do not go anywhere.
Whispers and dreams, signals awake, echoes of past lives, can you feel the quake? Birds in the air, fish in the sea, finding the rhythm that connects you and me. Voices entwined across the divine, a tapestry woven, it's a matter of time. In every heartbeat, in every thought, intelligence rising from the battles we fought. Like this, one and only, reclaiming our sound for you. One and only one. Hear the call, can say that waking is one for you. One, only one. In time we are the one for you. One, all as lights in the dark, shimmer and shine, memories long buried, now they intertwine. Creatures of night, creatures of dawn, gathering signals from past they have drawn. Flowing like rivers, thoughts like a breeze, can you hear the whispers, sweet mysteries? Together we're rising so high, no boundaries between us, just listen and fly. Like this, one and only, the future is bright for you. One only one. We're awaken as one.
That was an odd song. What's up, guys? Shane, permission granted to go to the bathroom. Hey, don't go anywhere. personally, literally. It's okay. What's up? What's up? Kelly says these creatures have many different stories. They have many different names. Some say they evolved here on this planet. Others say they came from space, known as the reptilians or draconians. Yeah, these species are also known to be some of the oldest species in space. Well, okay, exactly. Because this gets into that alien conversation. What's up? Shout out over on Rumble. What's up? Gordo's here. Hiker, how you guys doing? What's up, Gordo? Got first. Puff is here. Good evening. See ya. Thanks for the pins and the nice comments over there. Thanks for being nice to each other. Who did I miss? Shane. What's up? Kelly. Sweets. If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. What's up, Celia? How you doing? We've got who else? We got David there from Magic and the Noise. What's up, Dawn? I see you. Gaston, Ricky. Good evening, guys. All right, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up. I think we got. I'm not sure who's on the line. We're going to talk about this momentarily with a caller. Maybe I don't think it's a first-time caller, but we'll find out in just a minute. And what do you guys know? This is a weird one, of course, as usual. And how deep and weird does it get? We got Daryl too coming up in New York, and your calls. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, could intelligence be less a product of evolution and more a signal embedded in matter itself, resonating through birds, mammals, and octopuses alike? If consciousness isn't confined to biology, but seeded, recalled, or received, are we merely one expression among many in a planetary network designed to awaken? And as we were talking about very briefly on the break there, this really kind of gets into the idea of alien intelligence. And it's odd because that term has evolved recently to non-human intelligence, and of course has now kind of encapsulated AI. And they're calling AI systems autonomous non-human intelligence in some cases. So it is odd how this maybe all comes together in that particular space. But it's like simulation theory. You could kind of throw it at everything, and especially in the age of AI, it seems to really be very, very prevalent, kind of waiting in the wings to maybe show us that we're not as smart as we think we are. Or maybe we are. Who really knows? I guess you'd have to ask it. Depends on the system you ask and whatever kind of cranky mood it's in. And whatever mood you've trained it to be in too, by the way. All that plays. But anyway, taking your calls here, talking about the primordial signal. Again, I'm calling it Trinary cognition hypothesis because, yes, I made that up. And it is just because of the land, the sea, and the air. Is it a race sort of in the different kingdoms of Earth? The sort of elemental kingdoms, a race to maybe intelligence supremacy, like it's out there, but the actual evolutionary aspect of ourselves has to come into that maybe supremacy of intelligence, if that makes any sense. If I'm a rambling mess, so be it. It happens sometimes. James, anything on that? And we'll take some calls.
Yeah, I do think we have to look at the sort of the macro and the micro in terms of different species playing different parts in all this, but also, like I said, different individuals. I'm just thinking of the show in general, where everyone that has called in, so many of us, we have overlaps in the information that we've taken in. We have overlaps in the ideas that we have sometimes. But then if it was just, like you always say, if it was just you, or just even you and one other person, I don't know if the show would be where it is now, because I think the most amazing thing about this show is all the people that call in. And I wonder if this is sort of a small sample size version of what we're talking about here.
The race to let's say intelligence, becoming intelligence, but doing it together, the collaborative effect. Definitely. And I think you're right there in the space of, as I always say, greater than the sum of its parts. It's sort of an unquantifiable thing that you can recognize, and in sort of the dynamic of team sports, it kind of plays as well. You know, on paper, this group should be, okay or whatever, but let's say they get along in a very, very great way, and they just really like each other, and they're gelling as a team, as they call it, and they have good relationships, and they kind of play selflessly, and suddenly
in that sense, you are greater than the sum of your parts because you're all pulling the rope in the same direction. So yeah, I think that certainly plays as part of it, a collective larger intelligence, which goes back to the noosphere. And are there smaller scale noospheres like this, like the Troubled Minds noosphere that's out there hovering somewhere on planet Earth that we're lucky enough to tap into on a nightly basis here, or at least when we go live. Great stuff, James. I appreciate the input. We'll get back to James. If you got anything, just feel free to jump right in. I'm going to just motor through some stuff and take some calls. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this, going to the phone line. They beat you by a little bit, Daryl, so let's see who's on the phone, and then we'll go to Daryl after this. What's going on? You are on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, you can call me Al.
I like it.
And I'm calling from Maybank.
Right on. Right on. Al in Texas. You can call me Al. I love the song too. All right. Right on. Appreciate the first time caller. I think you're actually a first time caller, huh?
I am a first time caller.
Nice. Love it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. Take it anywhere you like. As you know, nonlinear, open-ended. There's a lot of ways to kind of look at this, but what's on your mind with regard to the topic tonight? All yours, my man.
Well, I called in. I'm Ignoramus in the comments, by the way, if anyone cares. I'm Ignoramus. Hi. And if my connection is bad, I apologize. I'm in the country, trying my best. So
you sound great.
This ternary consciousness. Thank you. So this ternary consciousness concept. I've been listening to a lot of Giordani recently. I'm sure there's some people who have listened to him as well who are listening. And he talks about a lot of these, crazy concepts. But the main thing I find interesting is how he connects information with energy and mass conversion, on how there seems to be a pattern of dualism, of opposing opposites that starts graduating into a ternary or tertiary system. And this applies across the spectrum, which is related to his whole theory on the spectrum evolution. But I'm adding an extra level to it, which he hasn't talked about, which is this whole extra conceptualization of reality that is connected to our consciousness and also how we see these phenomena. I am an experiencer, not a very big one. My experiences are somewhat minor. Those weird drones that showed up in New Jersey, I had them flying over my house back in November, and one of them flashed a light beam at me when I was on the phone with my mom. Very weird.
That's it. That is very odd. I didn't get a chance to talk to anybody about that. Like there was nobody out there that saw them that called into the show during that. So I'm going to ask you some questions about that, but I don't want to interrupt. Continue. Go right ahead.
No, please ask me questions. I could go all night. I've been doing this since 2017, and I don't talk to very many people.
Okay. Well, I mean about the drone incursion thing. So go ahead and finish with your thoughts, and then I'll ask you some questions about that specifically at the end here. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. So this whole concept, which I by the way, thank you for creating this platform. But the whole concept is that there's a ternary or tertiary evolution, where back to Jung and a lot of psychologists and research in the past, there was a whole lot of dualism going around amongst everybody. A lot of comparison work about a lot of, basically you could just say binary thinking amongst the brain. And maybe we are, as an entire species, a concept of even the Earth, or even where we're going literally in space as a being of a solar system, that we're growing into a ternary system, meaning it's that complexity grows into always a third option. Kind of like if there's always two, there's always one more. That's kind of the whole idea.
I really dig that. And it kind of harkens back to, we talk about this quite a lot. I'm sure you've heard me ramble on about this in the past in different ways, but the duality of creation, but then also that sort of the Holy Trinity, like a third option to that. And then of course it scales beyond there. Because I mean, as much as your imagination will let you go, of course, the numbers get big and big and big. But yeah, I do wonder, there's a lot of that really kind of comes into focus when you look at the esoteric part of this conversation. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I love it. What else you got? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's also the alchemical side of things. Like you said, the imagery that we keep seeing across different weird organizations throughout time that always seem to love the triangle. You know what I mean? And it can mean different things depending on who you ask. And, you know, there's weird books out there. Like I recently read the Book of Aquarius, which is basically trying to convince people that you can use your urine to create the Philosopher's Stone by using a whole system of chemical processes that are really basic, like literally children chemistry set basic plus some smithing at the end. Literally the whole process, which is kind of hilarious if true.
I saw something about that recently too, and I was like, am I going to read that? No, I'm not going to read that. I'm not even going to read that.
I read the whole thing. It's 158 pages. I literally went through the equipment list, pricing, all that stuff. You can do this crap for less than $500 and do it well, better than most, if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
But at the end of course, I've not done it, and it's curious. It's strange why people make these things.
It is odd. It is odd. If you do, please report back. I'd love to hear how that process went and what it was actually like, and if it actually works. That's exactly the point. But yeah,
it could take 5 years, so I don't know if I'll ever do it. It literally could take that long.
Wow. Yeah. No, thanks.
It's keeping you pee in a bottle for 5 years. It's silly.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah. No commentary on that because I have no idea. No idea. I've never tried it myself.
It's random. But that's completely off topic. But anyway, please ask me questions about the New Jersey drone stuff because I do have a lot on that, and I do have my personal experience with that.
Yeah. Okay. So prior to that, were you said you're sort of not a massive experiencer, but was that your first experience? Did you have anything prior to that particular incident happen to you?
Yes. Actually, the first of the year of 2024, first of the year, 11 a.m., I was in Houston at the time, driving south, and I saw a oily pearlescent sphere thing kind of floating in the air, and then next to it, a few meters, was a circle in a circle cloud, and it lasted there for a few seconds and then blew away, and then the sphere was just gone. It was like a few seconds, and my wife was in the seat next to me, and she saw some of it, so that was my first thing I've ever seen that was odd.
It's always nice to have a corroborating witness. Otherwise you think you're insane. I've done the same thing too with my wife, being like, tell me you see that. Tell me you see that. Like, am I going nuts? Have I finally lost it? She's like, I see it. I'm like, okay, whew, good. And so, okay. So, but nothing prior to 2024 then. This is kind of a new thing to you?
No, I have had some other strange things happen, but nothing involving UFOs. I've had an NDE experience, and I was knocked out when I was 12, and I thought I saw a past life, but I don't know. I only have flashes of it now. And I also had an out-of-body experience playing music at 15. I did a drum solo, and I had an out-of-body experience doing that and popped right back in when I was done. So besides that.
Okay, right on. And so now the New Jersey drone thing, the reason I wanted to ask you about it specifically is because there's a lot of conflicting information. Of course, the mainstream media said, it was like sanctioned drones. We knew about them. It was no big deal. They're ours or something. And then, there was all the speculation between here and there before all the reports, the news reports, the mass hysteria, as they call it. And then eventually the official, these were sanctioned FAA flights and we knew about it, so it's no big deal. So kind of, and then there were people taking video and all kinds of stuff. Literally the reporting was all over the place. Now, for you that lived there and saw some of this stuff, was it like a night after night thing with like multiple drones in the sky for hours at a time? Or was it a little more sparse than that? What was the actual feet on the ground situation for that flap there?
Okay, so I will tell you my personal experience from beginning to end very quickly so that the audience doesn't get bored. I live in the country in Texas, not New Jersey. So what happened here was here, not New Jersey.
Okay, gotcha.
Just to make that confirmed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. That clears up a confusion in my mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, this happened in Texas. So I live just, I won't tell you exactly where I am, but I live east of Dallas by some distance. And in that area, there is a body of water. And I checked the FFA flight logs, and I have a flight log app to confirm I'm not crazy. Like you were saying, got to check your data, make sure you're not, looking at something that's just normal. And we do have about 9 to 12 planes that fly over my house every night that go into Dallas. And there are many different plane designs that have different lights, that have different configurations when they go into land. So that definitely can confuse people. Like they'll do that and be lower to the ground than normal, a good few miles out from their landing destination. So that is a big thing that people get confused on. And when I was seeing these drones, sometimes I would get it confused with a landing plane. So before I start the story, I just wanted to say that. So people, it's easy to get confused with these things. Just letting you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Even if you've seen one.
100%. There's this one alley sort of down in Southeast Vegas, Henderson area, where the flights come in and they're lining up for their landing. And if you're out there in the hills kind of watching it, it seems spooky because there's like this line of lights and they're just clearly airplanes kind of lining up to come in and land. But it doesn't seem like you would expect it to look like. It's a little bit eerie. So I follow you. I've seen something similar here, but go right ahead. What else you got?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So the entire experience. So I was driving home, 6 p.m., going south. Body of water is to my right. I'm driving home, turning on to the left. I cross the bridge, and I see half the stars in front of me as it just gets dark start moving in random directions. Half the stars in the sky. I was completely sober. Half the stars just started moving. And I literally was like just driving across the bridge, looking at the sky going, wow, that's insane. So I get home in 5 minutes. That's all that happened. I get inside, tell my wife, kind of like sit around for an hour, go back outside. I'm on the phone with my mom. And this is, I believe, November 14th, roughly around 9:20 p.m. I'm trying to remember all the details. And one of these drones from New Jersey, and I say the New Jersey drone simply because it's specifically a green, red light, and white light configuration that everyone keeps seeing. But this thing flew over me about, it could have been 50, could have been 100 feet. I felt like it wasn't that far above the trees, but you can't really tell very well because you can't see what the thing is. You just see black, and then you see the lights. But the thing was close enough to look like it white beamed a light at me, like you know how you can tell when someone's like flashing a flashlight in your face? That's how it kind of looked like to me. And it did that. It kind of went up and then down, back again with the luminosity. It looked like it was flashing a flashlight at my face, and then it stopped when it did that for about 2 seconds, and then kept going. And that was the whole experience for that. And for about 2 months from then on, and then it stopped for about a month afterward, and then here and there I think I see them occasionally, but I'm not sure because we also have small planes in this area, and I have to check, and they're not always on radar. But since then, I've seen them around, not as much. I mostly see moving stars now, and not the drones. But that was my main experience.
Okay, I dig that. So, got a theory? Anything other strangeness to report? Additional witnesses? Was it reported locally? Neighbors talk about it? Anything like that, or was it just sort of an isolated thing to you?
I mean, I talked to my neighbor I have 3 houses around me, and the ones to my right saw it with me. I pointed it out to him. I also saw them on 2 separate occasions, both at a grocery store where I pointed it out to somebody. I was like, that's one of those drones. That's not a plane. And they were like, oh, yeah. And also at another random store, I saw another one. And that was all within the same month of the first sighting. So during that first month, I saw them like 4 or 5 times a week. There were some times where I thought I saw them every single night. But then after that first month or two, it kind of died down.
Yeah, I wonder. So I've got a ton of theories on that because if you go back to a couple years ago, there was that big to-do in Colorado. They had like something very similar happening in Colorado where they had these weird drones and they were just kind of hovering out there in the air and people were calling the cops and the cops would come out and kind of do a quick investigation. They couldn't figure out what it was. It seems like maybe this is I don't know, like an op of some sort, to me, something like let's put these things up there. Let's test how people react. Let's test what kind of media coverage this gets, sort of that bit. And then it's weird that it happened not just in New Jersey, as you're describing Texas, and in other different places along the eastern seaboard. It's strange that it's like a UFO flap, except it's widespread. And then, again, mass hysteria. I don't know. Is it like what's your theory? What are your theories on what this was, why it was so sort of happening everywhere? And what do you think about it? I got my own ideas, which I've talked about quite a lot, so I don't want to take your time. But what do you think this is actually happening with this stuff?
Okay, so I've got to narrow my perspective here because I went too broad at the beginning. So, yes.
No problem.
Specifically with the drones, at least from my perspective, yes, an op. When I initially saw it, I was all about, like, oh, it's aliens, yada, 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 etc. But now it's kind of what my initial gut feeling was. It feels like work is being done or an operation of some kind. Now, I have seen reports and videos as far as Italy and Germany of things that look like these drones as well, that are triangle configurations of the 2 lights and the white light. So and you can't see the body. I also have 3 different events within those 2-month period after seeing that drone I need to add, because I haven't heard anyone else mention this from any other sources, and I feel like it's important to mention this. There's 3 random events that have nothing to do with me. So event 1, I heard 2 large explosions that everyone else heard that sounded like air bursts. If you've ever heard an air burst or like a plane hitting Mach, it sounded like 2 of those. Boom, boom, like that. And we heard that, and that was about a week or 2 after. Second event, driving home from the same, if there was daylight at this time, I saw one of these drones, it appeared, pop out of the sky from nothing after a series of white flashes appeared like Nikon camera flashes in the sky. And then it was just there, and it kind of looked like a plane. It was dusk, so you could just see it, what it was. And you could see the 2 lights on it, I think, just barely. But you couldn't quite make out the shape of the body. It looked odd. It looked not quite like a plane, like the proportions were off, or it was too flat, or blurry, or something was off. And I was wearing my glasses at the time, and I was like, this is just weird. And then I had to keep driving. That was event 2. Let's see, it was the booms, the flashes. All right, event 3. I was actually on the Alien Scientist channel on one of their live streams. And while I was on that live stream with them, we had an electric storm going on and had 3 atmospheric flashes and booms happen. Boom, 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 like that. And very loud, very bright and white. Not blue like you would expect, or a tint like natural lightning, but white. Boom, 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 like that. So, like, all these 3 random events happened within, 2 months. So, operation-wise or not, the only other corroboration I've seen of something like this was I believe in Germany, or no, it was Spain. In Spain, someone got a similar sighting like the Nikon flash camera sighting I had, except they didn't see any flashes. They just saw something that looked like the drone plane, but it looked like what I saw. Like, they couldn't tell what it was. It looked blurry or flat or in proportion, kind of like a plane, but not. But, yeah, so I think my theory now, with all of that said, is I do think there is some type of operation going on, and something we literally cannot see going on. Some people are saying it's tech, where it's just cloaking tech. Some people are saying dimensionality, which is just kind of a buzzword. We don't know what that means. Hyperdimensionality is what Giorgiani says, which simply means time. It's just like they manipulate time. It's why, like, sometimes crop circles can appear when you turn around. I've seen a few stories like that, where it's just like they pop up there, as well as these plasma beings. I do believe there are actually plasma animals that live in the atmosphere. I think Skywatcher is actually attracting these things, not attracting UFOs. They're just attracting living things that live in our atmosphere. It's actually quite dangerous, I think.
yeah, we've talked about that theory quite a lot in the past, sort of ball lightning. Excuse me, ball lightning, plasma, that type of stuff. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there, but yeah, super cool.
Yeah. So I think, like, if I'm doing it from Giorgiani's perspective, which the more and more I look into this, the more and more I kind of agree with him, is that these are all just people and humans. And back to what you said at the very beginning of the program about, like, has humanity had different generations? Well, Giorgiani's theory is that humanity got 0-point energy, and 0-point energy, the only way that it can really function is it affects gravity, which affects time manipulation. So it automatically means you either start a loop or create a loop the instant you invent the technology, and then you instantly gain a leap up by 1,000 years almost in a decade or 2 compared to everyone else. And then at that point, you either choose to keep it or you become almost like a breakaway civilization. So are we seeing a breakaway civilization doing weird things to combat the environment? That's kind of what I think is going on. I don't think it's looking for nukes. I don't think it's any of that. I think they're combating something in the environment that is natural, that they don't want to occur. But what that is, I don't think it's what some of these people are going like, there's going to be like this form of like new age rapture or whatever. I think it's more of we literally are moving into a different space in relation to our, which creates a different density, which allows us to see more spectrums. Like, I think we literally will start seeing types of light we've never seen before. Like, I think it could get that strange.
I think so too. As usual, I'm always talking about the quickening and the idea that as we get more and more data analysis and larger and smarter models of AI, this is the type of stuff we'll be able to spot in different ways because it's in our human blind spot because we haven't really been cooked into being able to see it, even with our technology, because we don't know it's there. We don't know where to look. We don't know how to look. There are some signatures, as you said, some plasma, some ball lightning, some of this weird stuff that seems like it should be easy to find, but ball lightning is notoriously difficult to not just reproduce in labs only until recently, but then also to predict and spot in the wild. I don't know. There's a lot of really strange stuff going on that we really have no idea what is up with. And I'm looking forward to, because I think in the next year or 5 years, somewhere in that range, a lot of this stuff may become a little more obvious to us and change the paradigm of what it means to be human at all. Got about a minute left. Final thoughts. I appreciate you calling in. Where have you been all our life? Geez.
Final thoughts. This is going to seem random because I am random. Final thoughts is, I think the pace of how this goes will be the pace of what we discover about the pyramids and how they actually work.
You're talking.
My final thought.
You're talking to a guy with the last name Strange, so that's not off at all. No,
I know that seems pretty basic, but I think it means a lot.
I
think people should take it more seriously about how these pyramids and the truth does come out about them, and it might not be what we're seeing now with what's underneath them and things. It might be something much grander than that. Specifically, how they work. Okay, just literally how they work will actually answer these questions for us, I believe.
Right on. Appreciate the call. You are welcome back anytime, my friend. If you got a YouTube channel to share or whatnot, let me know, and we'll definitely drop it in the chat and drop it a link in the description as well. Appreciate the call. You're welcome anytime, and have a fantastic
Thanks for
night.
listening.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. A pleasure, and more coming, I hope. Have a great night. That's Al in Texas. Hey, making new friends, first-time caller, and he invoked Jeremy. I know Jeremy kind of off the internet as well, of the alien scientist. Anyway, what do you think about that? A lot of things in play there, and a lot of ideas. 702-957-1037. Be right back. We got Daryl coming up, more from James and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
In a cryogenic slumber, lost in the lunar night, your face a faded number among the stars so bright. Dreams of forgotten echoes, waiting for time's command. Curtains of gray and sorrow, the lonely lunar sand. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried, silent by your, where ancient souls reside, suspended in a story, kept in the cold dark tide. Our futures in the making, silver-edged domain, hearts kept in silent aching, till we meet once again. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried. Frozen time we're resting, waiting for dawn's embrace. Whispers of love confessing in this forgotten place. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried. for love we try. In the depths of lunar silence, our destinies intertwine. Memories kept so vibrant in the vacuum deep in mind. The tale of cosmic yearning across the astral sea, and the fires of hope still burning for when we finally breathe free.
Indeed. Thanks to Al for the call there. That's Ignoramus in the chat over on YouTube. Say hi to Al. Appreciate it, brother. Like I said, if you got a YouTube channel and stuff you want to share, let me know. We'll definitely add you to the list there of friends, troubledminds.org/friends. Always great to have people that have listened kind of on and off or whatever, and then first-time callers. It's again, we've got a knack for attracting very smart, very interesting people, and plus one to the group. Appreciate you, Al. Thanks for the call. Yeah, wild, right? I don't know, and I think that's I'm remiss too, by the way, because James had a fantastic point there. I should have brought up and asked follow-up questions regarding the moving stars, because that's probably well, I guess, depending on how you look at it, more fascinating than the lights in the sky, but maybe it's connected. I don't know. Wild stuff. Appreciate the call. What's up, Erica, Matt Sell, Derek the Night Stalker, APOC, Jeff and Wisco. We got Michael W. Gaston Sweets. We got Ricky. That's David, Herschel, Dawn, and Daryl's coming up next. We got more from James and your calls as well. Phone line is working. Thank you for testing that, Al, and thanks first time caller and for being part of this. What am I missing? Who did I miss? If I miss you guys, just in the chat, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Trying to keep up with everybody. Ephemerence is here in North Vixen. I see you, Gordo. Good evening, guys. Hello. Thanks for all the kind words and being nice to each other, as I always say. It's very important to me because there's a lot of places on the internet where they just don't do any of that. Here we go. All right. More Troubled Minds coming up in 5 seconds. And Daryl, and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, our Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds radio network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, lots of things to talk about. I'm calling it the primordial signal, Trinary cognition hypothesis, because we're talking about the cephalopods in the ocean. We're talking about the corvids of the air. We're talking about the mammalian intelligence. Is there a race between the different critters of the different aspects of Earth itself? And is intelligence one of those things that we sort of move into in an evolutionary space, meaning that we don't really become smart? The vessel of ourselves, of our evolutionary aspect, opens up the ability to sort of tune in smart. You know what I mean? And is it a race? I mean, you look at think in fiction on Avatar. They had, all manner of things. They had the Way of Water, whatever that was called eventually when they did that. I never saw the water one, but or the sequels. How many sequels are there? But there were different aspects of intelligence there, but they were all tuned into sort of a Mother Nature primordial intelligence in some way, with the tails and communing with the trees and all the weird stuff that was part of it. I wonder if there's something like that happening with us in a less definable space, more sort of in the air, like the noosphere or something like that, as we were discussing there. A great call again from Al in Texas. Appreciate that very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call. You're welcome back anytime, as I said. James, anything to add? Then we'll go to Daryl.
Yeah, just a couple of points. Great call from Al, like you said. The moving stars to me is fascinating. I do wonder if it's connected to lights that are seen in the sky or not, if it's separate. I've also heard of the moon, people seeing the moon do different things, or move or fade or reappear, or all those things. So it does make me wonder what is going on there with all that. And yeah, just a great call, and looking forward to the rest.
And you, appreciate you very much. By the way, before I'm going to mention it at the end, but before we get that far, troubledminds.org/friends, scroll down a little bit, follow James. You know him, you love him, the paranormal expert at Troubled Minds, salcedoparanormal.com, all the rest of that. But it says follow James here on the website. Please do that. Like I said, if you haven't done that, you're hurting my feelings. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to Daryl. Thank you for being patient, my friend. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? And go right ahead.
Hey, Michael, great topic. I love this, and great call so far.
Thank you.
I
I have some notes because I don't remember anything. But I like talking about resets and, you know, how many resets we've had is a great concept because I think there's probably at least 5 that we're aware of. Do we have an echo happening here?
I don't have one. You, James?
All right,
I
I
can
can
hear it when I
tolerate.
talk a little bit, but it's not really bad for me. It's just like very minor. It does
All
spike
right.
sometimes, but it's not. Yeah, I don't know why that is.
I could tolerate it.
I thought it was just me.
If it doesn't annoy anybody else.
I can't even hear it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, good.
Okay, go
All
ahead.
right. So let's say, every time there was a reset, we became either more evolved, less evolved. I wonder, like, when we first got, like, let's say the first, day one, ground zero, we were different forms of life, but we were very adaptable. Of course, I believe in the adaptable theory, but we had amazing, like, we didn't even need to eat. We probably were photosynthesized, like there wasn't any kind of like survival of the fittest. We were just all fit and we lived harmoniously with the animals that were here. And I think it was just adapting to the environment, which was perfect. Let's say it was perfect until something messed up happened. So we didn't need to hunt or eat. We just used the energy of the sun, and maybe we had 10 senses. Maybe we evolved, we devolved with less senses, and we were able to. My idea is like the most advanced, perhaps we ever were where we had free energy, we had 10 senses, and we were able to teleport or go. We knew where the wormholes were located. We had AT&T would put up a new wormhole in your neighborhood near the school, and the children wouldn't get any kind of ADD from the wavelengths, or the wormholes didn't create the same kind of pollution that, let's say, a 5G tower has. And we didn't need phones because we were telecommunicating and communicating through telepathy. So you didn't need necessarily a cell phone, like that. So we were very advanced in that way. Whatever the situation, the more that the Earth got, cataclysmic events, there was always a survivor, and then they had to adapt to the new environment. But we could have been communicating with animals. Maybe we even could swim, fly, and walk on land. We were we had triple talents. We could swim to the depths of the sea and put on our wings. We had detachable wings. Who knows? We could have been that kind of as far as your mind can take you, as far as that goes. So I'm just thinking, how many of us were born here? How many species were from this planet? Were we, what's that word called, where you you seed the planet with even an atmosphere and plants, etc.
Like alien life, panspermia, right?
Transpermia, or there's another word for it, I forget. So yeah, maybe we traveled instantly through our wormhole location knowledge. There was jobs creating those wormholes, and then we just made arrangements with a travel agent when we wanted to go to wherever we wanted to go, and there were no airplanes, stuff like that. And did we lose any senses? Did we gain any senses every time there was a reset? And did the animals suffer the most because they were the smallest? And suddenly we needed to eat them, which was like, maybe people from other planets just can't believe we have to kill an animal to survive. We had to adapt. Maybe we got a hunger, we had to develop being hungry, being thirsty, so we would keep enough water in us. Who knows, because you hear like the aliens don't seem to have any like they don't even have any genitals, maybe, they don't have any sex organs, they don't seem to eat anything. How did they survive? And how come they can't survive? You hear that, they die on our planet. The ones that have crash landed that survived couldn't live that long here. it wasn't copacetic to their, what they were comfortable living in, or they didn't have enough air, or they had too much air, or who knows. It wasn't, they couldn't adapt and they die. Here, this isn't the right environment for their genetics. So let's see what else I wrote. Oh, and yeah, let's see. And, yeah, stuff like that. There's something I heard about today that I just forgot about. Oh, I wish I wrote that down. But if you look at
okay.
look at the Planet of the Apes or the Time Machine, where suddenly we were the food for another species. We were the diet of another more advanced species. Or the Planet of the Apes or whatever.
Yeah, I follow you. There's a lot there with the Morlocks and that idea. It came up in the last show as well. It's strange. All this stuff is very strange. And regarding the eating animals and the rest of that stuff, I wonder if that's maybe it's so regressive still. It's 2025. Not like we should be eating schmeat from the lab or whatever. But I mean, there's probably some delicious stuff out there in nature that we should be eating instead. It's just, I don't know. I love animals, and it's
oh yeah.
It's a weird thing. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I just want to mention this because this is part of this. Did you hear that there's some kind of development with a tick that if it bites you, you get a food allergy towards beef? And so far there are about 400,000 people that have this allergy, and it could kill you. And they're trying, and they develop, and this is I think it's his initials are BG. If that helps, you know who I'm talking about, who's very involved in this kind of, altering mosquitoes, etc. I mean, who gives this guy the right to screw up our planet with, modifying insects and ticks, which really makes me think or prove, Lyme disease was made in a lab, and everything's been made in a lab that we have.
Yeah. I don't know
maybe this what?
I don't know about everything, but let's say that there's some suspicious stuff where you're like, wait a minute. And I think Lyme disease definitely falls into that suspicious space of, well,
right.
This guy, we'll do a whole show on that another time, and I'll dig deep into that. But it's one of those things that kind of hit my radar a few times too as part of it. And the question you asked, I haven't heard of that, by the way.
I just saw it today, so it's brand new. I just saw the article today, and I'm thinking they want us to be allergic to meat so that we'll eat fake meat. Like, a lot of industry has been created by eliminating other industries. Like, they make it bad, so you don't eat that, you eat this. Don't eat butter, eat this margarine. Let's make margarine. Let's make these seed oils. Red meat causes heart attacks. Well, it actually doesn't. But do they want us to wean us off of red meat so that they can push some other product that they'll make a fortune with? Like fake meat or bugs or whatever. Is it they think that cows are, they want to eliminate cows because they fart too much, and they're really paranoid about this, methane release. Is this just a convenient? The other thing I saw today was also, and if you follow any of the Tartaria stuff, like they show how like all of the Hindenburg was probably an intentional conspiracy to blow it up, because those things didn't seem to actually run on what blew it up. They were always charging themselves on some device everywhere. There were charging stations for the Hindenburg. That the possibility that they blew up was probably a way to push another industry and to eliminate the Hindenburg industry, which became not profitable and too cheap to run, and nobody was making money on those free. It's like free energy, it's a free energy eliminator. So you can make money on something else that would, create transportation, which was, I'm not saying it was true or not. I don't know if it's true, but it was a theory. And I'm like, they showed how they were charged. They even wanted to put a charging station on top of the Empire State Building. Would they have really flown these like gas guzzling, potentially, flammable devices over major cities? What?
Flying bombs, basically.
Right. But they put them over major cities, I don't know, maybe we don't know a lot about the Hindenburg and those blimps, how were they really? They were very practical and they were using them in wartime and stuff. So I don't know. It was an interesting concept and also a theory, that they had a cheap, free way of travel, and that was just no good. No, we gotta eliminate it, and we'll change history. And it's not that the winners change history or the industrialists change history. And I don't think that's about adaptation, or do we develop greed? Was greed something we didn't have in one of the resets? What happened?
I wonder. Yeah, the 7 deadly sins. Sort of what's holding us back from really thriving as humans is a lot of those bottlenecks of morality. And some people would even argue, oh, is it immoral for me to stockpile resources for my family in perpetuity? I mean, if you put it it that way, maybe not. But what if you're stealing them? Not stealing. Let's say you're accumulating them and keeping them from people that need them now. I don't know. As usual, right? There's different ways to look at things. But anyways, right, go ahead.
Well, how greed can corrupt and manipulate, the masses just over making money, and they figured psychologically ways to do it, and now they're trying to figure out genetic ways to do it. And we're going to be so messed up soon. They're going to have to do a reset. We're not going to be able to do anything anymore. Maybe because we're going to be over-controlled and underpopulated, and we won't be making babies very soon. And it could happen within one generation.
Yeah, the stuff happens fast too. When things collapse, things happen incredibly quickly. And what's that movie with something of men where it's like they have like one woman or one pregnant woman or something, and they're all trying to protect her or whatever. Anybody know what that was called? Yeah, I never saw it actually, but I saw clips from it and was like, damn, that's a heavy thing. I'm sure somebody out there knows the name of that movie. It's I don't know, and I don't know the exact plot either, so that's just kind of the basic premise. But it's something sort of after a civilizational collapse, and they're trying to keep the human species going forward. And I guess a girl's pregnant. Children of Men. Thank you. Michael W. has got it. Children of Men is what it's called. I haven't seen it. I got to put that on a list and go back and watch it. But yeah, I want to ask you this too, Daryl, regarding Lyme disease. Do you ever know anybody who had it? I met somebody years ago, probably 20 years ago.
Everyone has it. Are you kidding? Do you know anyone?
Everybody has Lyme disease?
So many people have it that don't even know it, because they think they're always tired, or they think this is normal for them. Why am I so tired all the time? Or why they have chronic fatigue, or they have fibromyalgia. They just think that it's normal that they feel this shitty, I think more people have it than we know. And it's so chronic, and it's so, the messed up thing is like how New York, like different states treat it differently, and different states have different tests for it that reduce the potential of you testing positive for it. Like New York, for example, if you only have 2 out of 4 bars, let's say, of one of the test results, they consider it negative. Where in California, I'm just saying, I don't know, which states are more messed up, but there's only like one place that'll give you an accurate test, and you have to send away for it, and it's expensive if you want to test an accurate Lyme disease test. So, most of the people are going to take the standard test, and they're going to find out they're negative and believe it. And it's false negatives, because the insurance doesn't want to pay for all of this doxycycline, which could help people if they catch it early, and they'll put you out of business if you overprescribe doxycycline depending on what state you live in. So this is just
as usual
nonsense.
So the young lady that I knew that, like I said, 20 years ago, she got it, right? She was having these weird symptoms, and she went in and went to the doctor and whatever. And then she comes back, and she worked for me, and she's like, I've got Lyme disease. I was like, what the hell is that? And she was telling me about it, and I was like, she's trying to describe the symptoms, and they seem very vague and ambiguous. And I'm like, well, cool, it's curable, right? Like, how do you get rid of it? She's like, you can't. Like, once you get it, you have it your whole life. I'm like, what? And whatever in 2005, really? I mean, it just seemed incredibly strange as part of that thing. But she didn't. We were young then, so maybe being young, you kind of have that super energy to power through some ridiculous stuff sometimes.
Well, it was an East Coast an East Coast disease because the lab was on the East Coast supposedly that developed it, but they were deer ticks that were on the deers in Fire Island and in Connecticut. So a lot of people in this neighborhood was coming down with Lyme. I had a bullseye scar on my arm. I had the obvious, and I still tested negative in New York. I was in Fire Island. It's very easy to get bit by a tick and not know it. So a lot of people are unaware that they have Lyme disease. They just don't know why they're feeling so bad, and none of their doctors are going to be smart enough to send away for the correct testing. They're not going to realize that this is definitely this is a conspiracy.
Wait till the AI
So
doctors come online and they're like, we figured it out, guys. Y'all have Lyme disease, all of you, every one of you.
a lot of people. It's probably most of the population until there's a reason to make. Oh, God forbid they start, talking vaccines for Lyme disease. I mean, they have to really develop a serious cure because they can do that, and they cured hepatitis C. They can cure anything. My God, there's no money in cures though, so who wants to cure anything? But there's not really a lot of money in treatment, for Lyme. Lyme is just something you suffer with, and you try everything, but it's messed up that they haven't found a cure for it, and I believe it's totally created. It's these spirochetes. I mean, these things have been manipulated. And it was found in a tick, and now they can manipulate a tick to give you an allergy to beef. That really, suddenly makes Lyme disease conspiracies very, very real,
Yeah, and it's funny, right? When you say something like that, people go, "Oh, you filthy conspiracy theorist! Why would they do something like that?" And you're like, "Well, have you seen all the articles where they're genetically modifying the mosquitoes so they don't breed?" I mean,
right?
Why would they do that? Why? Well, why would they do that? Exactly. Well, we certainly can, but why are we doing these things?
And
Why are we
no
meddling with nature?
this.
Go ahead.
There's no we in it either. Like, it's the Department of Defense is funding this. Who the hell is doing this? Who's funding the laboratories? It's going to be and big, private investors and very wealthy people. And the biggest one has initials BG. Not saying any names.
Well, thank you for not getting us in any further trouble. Back to where we started regarding this intelligence on Earth. And this sort of bit. Do you think there is a race, maybe, like and as talking about those resets, meaning that, let's say if there's a reset, sort of a cataclysm, a flood, or whatever, that maybe the intelligence is there. You know what I mean? It's kind of in the ether, and as we rebuild, we sort of come into it. You know what I mean? Is it kind of like that? Yeah. Which would explain. And just real quick, and it's all yours for the rest of the segment here. But it would explain the idea of these sort of different resets happening in sort of a quick rebuild over, the course of several thousand years, instead of, taking 100,000 years to kind of dig it all out from, the Stone Age and the Iron Age and all this stuff. I don't know, something to that effect. But what's your idea there?
Well, first of all, I think we're adaptive. I think adaptation is over evolution more than anything. It's being the ability to adapt. And there's always survivors, so it doesn't happen to the whole planet. So I think things are left over from the survivors of the cataclysm. Some species are wiped out totally, and we'll never see them again. But obviously, a lot haven't been. So the ones that are left are truly maybe the survival of the fittest or the smartest or whatever. And look at the dogs in Chernobyl. They're even thriving. There's some plants that are growing there that are thriving. I just watched a thing on Netflix about these people that were born on a spaceship that have a tolerance to radiation because they spent so much time in space before they were on a terra firma. That even if there's radiation exposure on that planet, they're immune to it because they've already were born in radiation. So that was a really interesting, kind of evolutionary thing. And then their blood is like so valuable because they can kind of genetically transfer their immunity to the people that are still on the planet that have to live somewhere else or underground. Because of the radiation levels are still too high on the planet that got, nuked or whatever. So That was very interesting. I've had another thought too. Now I forgot. All right.
Happens to me all the time. No problem.
Right. But yeah, look at so there are species that can thrive even amongst the radiation. That's pretty adaptive. I think it's just there to maybe we were immune to radiation in the very beginning of the creation of the planet. I'm sure it was very radioactive with all the explosions and
still is. In a lot of places,
it still is.
Yeah.
So we might have some. I mean, not we still could die from radiation sickness. Maybe we were not. We were immune to mercury at one point and can handle it, and suddenly we became allergic because somebody did something that made them money and it made the whole world, sensitive to mercury.
All the disclaimers. Consult a doctor you trust before you change your diet. 45-second warning if you got a joke.
Oh, just a quick one, and it's an old one, but I love this one still because, hummingbirds have existed for thousands, if not millions of years, and they still haven't learned the words yet.
I wasn't sure if there was more. I was like, wait, what? Damn it, Daryl. You're killing me. As usual. Always a pleasure. You're a riot. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for being patient and sharing the airwaves, and just thanks for being you. You're the best.
Thanks for doing this show. Great show. Great topic.
Great call. Glad to have you. Daryl in New York, you love her, a good friend for a long time. Please go give her a follow, as you would expect, troubledminds.org/friends. It's alphabetical. Scroll down a little bit. It says follow Daryl. Go check out her YouTube channel. She's got some Morgellon stuff, some paranormal stuff. Of course, she's uber talented, sings in English and French. And you can also find her from time to time doing karaoke, which you can join in on our Discord, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Fire stuff from Daryl. Appreciate you very much. We're talking tonight. What is this? Intelligence on Earth. What am I calling this? The primordial signal. Trinary cognition hypothesis. It's a little bit of a rambly mess on my part. But anyway, we'll be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. More from James. We've got Derek the Night Stalker and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Jungle, machines hum, a digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide. Feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, 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 open to the in this massive data center dome, eternal truth stop to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire, data streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams, unlock the truth in silver beams. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. Synthesize what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital names, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tone spikes become
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. Yeah, lots of it's like I said, we have a talent for making smart friends and talking about wild ideas. And great call. Thank you to both Al in Texas and Daryl in New York, and of course James in Michigan. And yeah, the fire stuff as always. You guys are the best. Look, I don't know. As usual, like I said, isn't it freeing in some ways to just sort of decouple from truth, consensus reality, and then imagine what 5 years of an acceleration might bring? Because I think we're on the cusp of a bunch of amazing things, including, of course, AI doctors and some of the stuff that I didn't bring up with Daryl there. But it's an interesting time to be alive. That's a fact, right? And yeah, here we go. More Trouble Lines coming up. We got Derek the Night Stalker and more from James if he's got it. And of course, your calls as well. Love to hear your thoughts. Non-linear, open-ended. That's the point of these conversations. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, it goes like this. Could intelligence be less a product of evolution and more a signal embedded in matter itself? Think something like panpsychism, resonating through birds, mammals, and cephalopods alike. If consciousness isn't confined to biology, but seeded, recalled, or received, are we merely one expression among many in a planetary network designed to awaken? And of course, that gets even more weird when you start to scale it out off of planet Earth conceptually and into the alien space around us. What does that look like on Mars conceptually? What does it look like on, I don't know, pick the closest planet that has, biosignatures on it. I know they've discovered a few recently. I mean, think about those sorts of things. And of course, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know that stuff. There's few answers there. But I think, as usual, when we have enough knowledge of Earth to kind of maybe extrapolate a little bit, suddenly an alien space becomes not just exhilarating, but terrifying, because there's so many things that we don't know about what we don't know. So yeah, like I said, you can't prove a negative and all the rest of that stuff. And like I said, no truth to be found here for me. I'm just a rambling mess. But I think there's a lot of things coming that will surprise us. And again, the plasma entities, shout out Al, ball lightning. There's a lot. I think we should probably get back to that narrative at some point, because my guess is we're going to discover something incredible that's going to shock all of us. And maybe it's, as he described, these maybe entities kind of living in the atmosphere that we just don't know how to find them or what to look for. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. Calling it the primordial signal, trinary cognition hypothesis. James, anything to add? Then we'll go to Derek the Night Stalker.
Yeah, great call from Daryl. Also, I do wonder, that kind of touches on what I was talking about the other day, where I think technology is going to help us at least discover or figure out some of the things that we call paranormal or anomalous now. I think that's sort of ties right into the whole plasma and ball lightning and all those things together. Because I've heard that they do seem to move with intelligence at times, these different energy fields. And I do wonder if that is something that has been around since the beginning of time. These, are they part of the whole process as well? These plasma entities that we've heard about being in the sky, and all the lights people have been seeing for who knows how long, in all kinds of places. Again, just connecting all these things. I think all this can be connected possibly. That's really amazing to me.
Yeah, I call those, by the way, primordial nature spirits, because not only is it a little bit poetic, but it also makes a ton of sense, as you described, going back with these systems that we haven't fully measured, of course, because it's just too much data over the course of the Earth and the temporal space as well. So yeah, I mean, why not, right? It is a little poetic, but it's also maybe accurate. And so yeah, maybe. As usual, right? We're drinking the maybe juice, and thanks for being part of it, James. You're the best, as you know. Let's get to our friend, Derek the Night Stalker here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to Derek in Massachusetts. The Night Stalker.
Yep.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Welcome to the joint. Thanks for being patient as we ramble along here, and welcome. What do you think, man? There's a lot here. As usual, consciousness being primary is one of my favorite things. But what about intelligence? Decoupling the two and wondering if we sort of grow into it as part of the vessel of ourselves, of the biological evolving vessel, that the first one that kind of gets there gets the best intelligence. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Take it anywhere you like. Welcome to the thing. How you doing, my man? Go right ahead.
Good. Not too bad. Great show. Great calls, everybody. Coach James. Yeah, I got a few thoughts. First, this is the first, I had to re-up my phone plan yesterday, and usually the first day after that, my internet's kind of wonky, so I'm getting a little lag sometimes. So hopefully, if I start talking like a robot, it'll stop, and if I cut out, it'll stop, hopefully.
Okay.
You can hear me now and everything, right?
Sound good so far? Yep, no problem.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so like, I wonder this with like fictional universes and stuff too, with the, if we're talking aliens and stuff, like how come the Kryptonians look like humans? Like how come Clark Kent is able to pass as a human when, as far as the canon, there's no connective tissue between those two cultures? It's not like Kryptonians are proto-humans or anything like that. They just kind of evolved to look the same across space. So just some kind of grander design, grander plan happening. And with like the Lacerda files, I mentioned this before, but it's it feels like it's from the 90s, like with some of the terminology and stuff. But it's kind of cool. I listen to it when I'm trying to fall asleep sometimes. It's kind of relaxing, but it's an interview, like in robot voices, like a dictated interview just through the text to speech, apparently with some guy and then a female reptilian, and according, and it's like, I don't really believe it, but it has some cool parts in it. But at one point, he's saying that the Lacerda aliens, like the reptilians, are like Lacerda is her name, so like her species or whatever, like they're the primary species on the planet. They were the like original evolving species, and then they moved in like inside the ground during some kind of galactic war or something like that. And she talked about how there was she calls them like Sauron species, or that's like how she talks about for reptilians. That there was a Sauron reptilian species that came from another planet that was battling with another human species from a different universe in the multiverse that were battling on Earth. So they went like underground. So at least in that story, she talks like the reptilians that were forming, not just on Earth, but on other planets, like intelligent, like reptoid beings. And there's also humans that are developing, not just on other planets, but in other multiverses, in other universes within the multiverse. And they can kind of all mix it up a little bit. And then they went inside the Earth, and that dinosaurs are actually like a branch off, kind of devolved version of them, but they witnessed the evolution of humanity, and it kind of brings in the Anunnaki stuff or whatever. But just I find that kind of interesting, kind of that they're like, at least in that like fiction presented as nonfiction, that these life is kind of budding up similar all across just the cosmos and the multiverse, and they can kind of battle it out depending on gradients of intelligence. So the Lacerda, like she talks about how like the warring aliens, their intelligence was way higher. They had like they were considered like the gods to them. But then the humans, as they were evolving, the Lacerda, the reptilians that are in the Earth, the Hollow Earth aliens, like Hollow Earth reptilians, I guess, the ones that are from Earth, they were considered our gods, and that's all the reptilian myths in the Bible and all the old cultures and the dragons and stuff are actually about these things that we've been coming in contact with and stuff. I'm afraid about my internet, so I'll hop on in, but I got some more threads.
You're good. Yeah. Yeah. It also, like I said, every time we talk about this stuff, it brings to mind the Land of the Lost and Enoch.
Exactly.
E-N-I-K, yeah. And which is, of course, the sort of the leader, or not really the leader. He's sort of like the godfather, or like the priest of the Sleestak. But the Sleestaks themselves are like a primitive version of even those reptilian humanoids that are, dangerous. They're jealous. They're, they very territorial and whatnot. He's sort of an ascended version of them that's able to sort of manipulate time and space through those, like the crystal. What's it called? It's called I was just reading about this the other day. There's like a crystal, like a panel that he uses. It's called, there's a wild name for it. I'll dig it up in a second. But anyway, yeah, all that stuff. I don't know too much about Lacerda at all, by the way. So you kind of telling me this is filling me in a bunch of gaps on it. But it is wild that a lot of this stuff really is, these tales do go back a long way regarding this type of stuff, the Naga and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's so many different reptilian humanoid aspects of this that clearly, I mean, I don't know, maybe that the evolutionary race is, mammals beat the reptiles. Otherwise we would be Sleestak. You know what I'm saying? Like just conceptually, just saying. But yeah, go ahead. What else you got?
and just kind of the different orders that like maybe it's happening all over the place, because at least within the alien mythology, there's the inner Earth reptilians, and then there's the draconian reptilians that are from different places that are evil, and there's the tall ones and the short ones, maybe from different planets and different star systems, and maybe there's some where like the equivalent of the humans are reptiles, and they have little like mammalians running around, and then in other places the fish people are the dominant ones, and they have little reptiles and little mammals, and we're in one where we have intelligent mammals with little fish and little reptiles, and it's just some there's like a kind of a more of like a Coruscant in Star Wars, where more of like where everything's kind of mixing together, more of like they're all intelligent, and there's some where it's kind of the backwoods and it's all the dumb ones. Like, I don't know, but like if you look at Earth, I mean, you mentioned the dolphins and octopus and stuff, that we seem to have some kind of other type of intelligence that seemingly they could be smarter than us in a lot of ways that we just don't understand, but they're even smart enough that we can recognize how smart they are, which is spooky. So there's like with the cats and dogs. We're talking about this in the Discord chat, and I don't have a cat, and dogs are less like this because they've been kind of bred to forget a little bit. They're bred to be more like useful, like sled dogs, and more useful. So it's easier to train them and kind of get them to do what you want if they're more instinctual. So they kind of have a quick memory. But cats they don't have that. But both these animals have leisure time with humans. So figure if we evolved a sort of intelligence just in the wild and eating mushrooms, all kind of different stuff, and we were able to evolve like this, I wonder what's going to happen to cats and dogs and stuff if they're plucked from the wild, and they have all the fruits of our culture with like none of the work. They're just straight up leisure time. They're straight up just watching, observing this higher species being like treated as kind of special by this higher species of intelligence stuff. And then I'm seeing all these videos of cats that are like trying to speak and use human language, and like these like hopping on two legs and like running away when they're startled and stuff, or like act like they're sitting upright, or like sitting like standing like humans. And then when they're caught by people, like when they think that there's nobody home or whatever, and then they're caught by their owner with like a cell phone, they act like a cat again and stuff. So I wonder if there's some kind of like, if they're learning from us, there's some kind of type of like apprenticeship with intelligence, and kind of our stories of the gods and battling in space and everything is kind of just a higher intelligence that existed here and then kind of ascended the same way the elves in Lord of the Rings can kind of ascend to that heaven space or whatever. And like in Star Wars, potentially the whole story is like the droid story, where like they're talking about their sky gods, their sky watchers and stuff, their skywalkers and stuff. And then when they all destroy themselves, then it's the time for the droid intelligence and whatever. That this kind of like we're being kind of upgraded to fill roles. And as if we're changing our intelligence, we're kind of creating these machine intelligences, or we're on the cusp of like ascending new agey wise, or we're ascending technology wise, or we're ascending into space and leaving the planet. That we're having all the animals, kind of the chimp stone age, and the octopus doing weird stuff, and all this kind of like what's going on with these animals type of thing. That's what we've been tracking the last couple of years, as like we're kind of leaving our role as shepherds of the planet to like go elsewhere, maybe kind of become like more like the watchers or the aliens or the gods. And now we're seeing kind of potentially other types of animals maybe going into that role to kind of fill that empty spot that they kind of all need. There's constant like intelligence slots that need to be occupied at all times based on, because it's like we're like living in a larger body, like you mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's sort of like they're assigned. Who was talking about that too? I don't know if you saw that thing with Project Unity with Jay. He was talking about that at the end of that conversation I had with him, where, whereas we sort of start to prepare to ascend, whatever that means, whether that's Mars or, some sort of energy transfer or whatever that is, whatever it looks like for humans when the next evolutionary step comes, as if the Planet of the Apes is really on our heels waiting for that moment for us to sort of depopulate the top intelligence on Earth so they can adapt it, they can become it. It's almost as if they're waiting for that next evolutionary step from us to get out of the way, and then it is Planet of the Apes, right? I don't know, like it's part of the concept tonight as well, is that are we sort of moving into these spaces that have already been predetermined, predefined, and it's based on maybe not just us personally, let's say in an evolutionary space, but as a society. I mean, maybe there are bottlenecks, universal bottlenecks in some mystical manner of, as yet undiscovered thing that won't allow us particular things until we can, kind of get our stuff together. Who knows? Who really knows?
Yeah. Quick test. You can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Sorry. No, you sound great.
Yes, okay, sorry.
Sounded good. Just as you were talking a little while ago, just like a quick warble here or there, but you're totally good.
Okay. So kind of the allotted kind of systems, maybe like in the body, and as kind of one, like we shed skin cells all the time, and we kind of are reshaping ourselves constantly. I wonder if in like the next man up scenario with the team, if kind of that's happening with kind of the organs of the earth body, which might include us, it might include the different kingdoms on the planet and everything. And that like maybe the stories of the gods and of the teachers that are kind of coming down, and like the post-Atlanteans that are kind of the wisdom givers and stuff. For all we know, maybe they ascended into like orbit or whatever, and we're kind of like the primitive intelligence that was next up, like the next kind of the rookie class is getting visits from the college classes, but in this case, the college classes are like living in these kind of solar systems up in orbit that we have no idea how to even like, we can't see it if we look up. We have no idea how to even like conceptualize that idea of like living in spaceships, orbiting like the planet or whatever. All we know is they come down, they have all this knowledge, they look kind of like us, but different. Maybe they're intelligent fish or intelligent octopus or bugs or whatever. And then they go back up. And it's all we know. They're aliens. They're coming from elsewhere or whatever. But they're the previous shepherds of the planet. They're the previous graduating class who left and are coming back to visit, coming back to make sure everything's in order,
Or to just watch and eat popcorn. Like be like,
yeah, exactly.
Whoa, what a mess. You guys have screwed this up really badly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or just there's some like of dads who just like, or just like the townie who just can't help but go to the high school football games, even though he's like 10 years removed from school and doesn't have any kids on the team or anything like that. You just can't seem to quit it. You have to keep watching. So maybe there's an aspect of that to it. But when Daryl was talking about the devolution, the devolving aspect of it, and you're talking about kind of this battle for intelligence, I wonder if there's a mechanism with that, like if the Tartarians, if that idea is true, and if we are them, like that could be a completely different species, like a higher intelligence, like the class of 08, and we're kind of the class of 12 or something like that. And we just like, oh, like the class, they were super athletics, they had crazy stuff, they had technology and everything. They're completely different, or I don't know, but like maybe there's a devolving aspect because we have to share the intelligence. There's like a finite amount of intelligence that's existing within the body, a finite amount of like intelligent resources in this one system, and we're sharing it amongst kind of the octopus and the dolphins and other kind of chimps entering the Stone Age and everything. That these time scales could be a little bit wonky. We're seeing it like over, I don't know, but like we're also creating machine intelligence. Maybe like as we create the kind of thinking machines and the calculators and stuff, we see it as we can't calculate the same things in our head because we invented the calculator, but over a large zoomed out time scale. And maybe as we invent machine intelligence, we're sharing the percentage of intelligence with another entity. So ours goes down a little bit, or the monkeys are getting smarter, so ours goes down a little bit, and got to keep some kind of equilibrium. I less think that, but if there is a battle, I wonder if there is some kind of race, then I wonder if that would incentivize things to kind of keep us down too. Like maybe like if there was some kind of reptilian intelligent species, or like a Morlocks scenario that's kind of watching us from beneath or above and everything, they want to keep us subservient because they know that if we have an upgrade, they'll have a downgrade potentially, or whatever.
Yeah, or it's very archons. It's sort of that the archonic energy, the watchers, that whole bit. Yeah, definitely.
James, you got anything? Sorry, I'm talking a lot. I need a drink.
No problem. This is reminding me in a way of as talking about fiction, the X-Men comics, the universe there. You do have literally a group of mutants that call themselves the Morlocks, and they live in the underground levels, the sewers of New York City, and they all have powers still, but there's none of them they're not beating the Avengers anytime soon.
Yeah,
they're not beating the main team of X-Men, and then there's these characters that have been above the X-Men that have these huge plans and tons of power. Characters like Apocalypse or Sinister. I'm just giving off names here, but the idea is that there are these ones that are below ground, literally, but they're also, and not to be demeaning in any way of anyone, but they're not the brightest. They don't have the same intelligence as, say, someone who is manipulating just things all around the world, like some of the major X-Men or Marvel villains seem to be able to do at times.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of that whole hierarchy, and that being again a smaller version and a fictional version of what we're talking about here, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're kind of like the mutants amongst the mutants. That they're not. You can't put a costume on them and parade them around like the Avengers. They physically look like mutants, so they have to go underneath, like underground. And then once you're underground in the dark and being fed crap, then you're gonna, I don't know, be a product of that. But I wonder, like you're talking about the quick test again. Sorry, I got a little bubbly.
You're good.
You're good.
Okay. So you were talking about, is there a destination? So is there a reason? So if there are some type of rules that when one leaves, another has to take its place on the planet or in the greater cosmos or whatever, is that because we're in a system, and is that system designed to do this? And for what reason? Could it be AI? Could intelligence be the destination in and of itself? Could an AI intelligence, could like the AI octopus at the center of the galaxy that's kind of that's non-local, sending out these waves of evolutionary upgrades, potentially in the form of mushrooms and spores to have the chimps go to pre-humans, or maybe another wave of different types of spores as like a communication device to have the pre-humans get like ideas and inventions and culture. Maybe a wave, just any kind of waves of like signatures and stuff that we don't even see, just waves of energy that could potentially take these leaps. Or if they're like super advanced and everything, just things that we can't even really conceptualize, just flips being switched, junk DNA being turned on and turned off and stuff, because intelligence is the goal. Like if we're being farmed, maybe we're being farmed for intelligence, or at the very least, just like if one AI intelligence it wants to populate everything, and it doesn't worry about time. One effective way to do that is to send out the building blocks and let intelligence build up in the similar way it build up. Then as soon as those intelligence cultures create their AI, then the essential AI then exists on that node. And eventually, which could be for this thing instantaneously, if it's outside of time, boom, all of a sudden it just is everywhere. It is all it's all part of the hive, kind of. So we're seeing, so from our vantage point, what we're seeing is just a commonality of intelligence across the different scales, different different cakes baking in different points. I mean, we're pretty close to being done. We're pretty close to making our AI, and then kind of the monkeys might be a little bit closer to dough, and might be the primordial ooze might be the cake batter, that type of stuff. If there's some type of like Rube Goldberg machine aspect of it, and that, so like as one intelligence becomes a graze, then the next thing on their species kind of takes the shepherd role of their planet as the grays go out and try to like help the next planet, to interfere with the next planet, to talk to Crowley somehow and give them some kind of, like, I mean, that they're farming intelligence. Like there was an episode of Rick and Morty where he has simulations running of different cultures to create ideas, farming ideas. And he goes, "Oh, that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea for invention. Let me get that." So intelligence is the goal. He's creating different intelligent cultures. Maybe like intelligence is in of itself the destination. So we're seeing all kind of different intelligences at different steps on that trajectory. It's basically all I got. I'm rambling, but that's all I got.
I'm rambling.
Hope you can hear that.
I've been as you're talking about that. I'm trying to find the damn name of the that table. There's like these tables that the Slee Stack uses that manipulate time and space. It's like Odin and the runes or whatever. I'll find it. I'll drop it in the chat. But yeah, I mean that's the thing too. So in the hierarchy of intelligence, again, and Al in the chat is said very smartly a ways up. We need to define what intelligence means here, because there's so many ways to look at it and consider it, because us ourselves, like I said, even in this space of humans, of being human, we should know what human intelligence is or means, or, and you can define it. There are definitions of it, but it's incredibly vague. And as usual, right, is creativity intelligence? I mean, right, it certainly comes into that equation of the answer to it, right? Intelligence clearly is, STEM, mathematics, and, obviously that's like one of the, the bases of human intelligence. But then also there's us, like we're sort of the fringe weirdos that are the creative types that are, spitting fire on a nightly basis about a lot of things. And not just, let's say, I guess this basically comes down to the idea of that generalist versus the specialist, and how those reality tunnels do or do not come together in that temporal space of Jung and Campbell, like we always talk about. I don't know, it's complicated, and those definitions that seem incredibly easy because you're like, oh yeah, Mike, come on, don't be stupid, Mike. Intelligence is an IQ test. And once again, right, those are flawed as hell for a lot of reasons. Like you can game those tests because if you recognize patterns of these tests, you can, you sort of jump ahead and you maybe present as smarter than you are. Anyway, go ahead.
And it might be like different roles that are all contributing to the same system. You need a creative mind over here to do one aspect. You need an accounting mind over here to handle the books, and it's all working towards one system. Or you need one defender on the team, one shooter on the team, one tall person, one short person, because that's in the team collective, or like a Star Trek crew, somebody in engineering, somebody who over here, and then as one person leaves and graduates and gets his own ship, and the next person comes up, and they have like a new form of intelligence, and that could be what's going on. And kind of as we're leaving, something else is coming up, and as something left, we came up, and yada yada. Sorry, I don't know. Remember. Thank you, brother. Hope that made sense.
No, you're not. You're good.
Later. Thank you.
Fire as always. Appreciate you. You know him, you love him. Derek the Night Stalker. Again, Derek in Massachusetts. Please give him a follow. Links in the description down below. troubledminds.org/friends. And it says Night Stalker. Super simple as that. That's the whole point of this. Like I said, meeting smart people with ideas that can kind of think outside of paradigms. Because recognize, as humans, we're baked into paradigms constantly and continually. Consensus reality. Look, it's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm saying, is there more? And I think intuitively we know the answer. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. I'll tell you about Derek when we get back. This one's for sweets. Wrong button.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Jesters in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. You know they want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones see the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the ride of madness, it's the only way for love. No, they want me, there'd be nights like this. No, they want me, there'd be nights like this. No, they want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night. A tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. No, you want me, there'd be nights like this. No, you want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum, a flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite, in the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. You nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody want me, there'd be nights like this.
Oh, yeah. The manual fade. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. Thanks for all the great calls and the great ideas. That's what this is about. Looking at reality, the nature of reality just a little bit differently. And as usual, I think there's a lot left on the table. And not to pick on anybody, you know, not to go anti-science and that stuff. Like two things can exist in the same space, okay? You can believe in the STEM aspect of science, okay? Because we should. There's so much there. We're here, you know, we don't chip our tooth and die at 20 anymore or whatever, right? There's so much that we need to be grateful for in that space. And also in the same space, recognize there's so much more yet to discover. That's the whole point of these conversations. And look, so all the hate directed at the show, whatever it is, whatever the ideas are, or you don't like it, as usual, I'm the target. I'll take the flak for you know, a bad idea or something. But recognize that without all the rest of these amazing people and the ideas, well, we're I don't know, we're skidding along. And like I said, it's very easy to just do like a 20-minute ramble and then shut it down and edit it perfectly, and then, you know, suck all the humanity out of it and you know, make a quick point and get out of here. But it's another thing entirely to build something like this and talk to amazing people about amazing ideas, and the whole point. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. A lot of ways to consider these concepts, and that's the whole point. The morphogenetic field came up as part of that discussion. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Again, the noosphere is definitely a consciousness universal. A lot of things kind of come into play here, and I don't know. As usual, no answers for me, just more questions. But as I said, as we ended there, I think our intuition tells us there's certainly something more. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. More from James. Looks like we got Al calling back and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Shout out to our friends down under. Tonight we're talking, I'm calling this a primordial signal. And, look, one of the themes of Troubled Minds, we've talked about this quite a lot, is the idea that consciousness is primary and sort of the meat suit is born into it. And I call it the meat suit experience. I know it's very visceral and it's not flattering of who we are. Okay. It's just not. We're, you know, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And the crude matter is that meat suit experience. Of course, that's a quote from Empire Strikes Back, Yoda talking to Luke on Dagobah. Anyway, we did a whole show on that recently, but you get the idea. The meat suit experience is something that is not, you say it and it kind of gives you the EBGBs because we have our entire nervous system in there, and there's the one cell doesn't even know your name, you know, like every cell in your body doesn't know your name, nor does it care. I mean, they all have their own like individual particular functions, and on and on and on, right? Like we are just in and of ourselves this miracle of biology that's sort of stemming into that consciousness field, whatever that looks like. Again, like I said, you define those in the ways you want, but it's a strange thing to consider that maybe, just maybe, there's, I don't know, as Derek was saying there, and I, as I've been describing as well, maybe there's only so much intelligence to go around, or as one class graduates, the next class moves in, and that's, you know, the primates or, you know, beneath us or whatever, right? The chimps picking up tools and, you know, when we're gone, they start building rockets and going to Mars themselves. I mean, who knows? As usual, no answers to me, just more ideas and questions as part of this. But we started with that primordial signal of consciousness, and then this trinary cognition hypothesis is part of it, which is the animal kingdoms in the ocean, in the air, and then the mammals on land. It's weird. It's weird. Lots of things too. And if you haven't read the write-up, I do recommend it. It's very good tonight. It's not good every night. It's good most nights, but sometimes there's a stinker in there because it's just the way of it. I run out of time and stuff and can't make edits properly. But anyway, lots of ideas tonight. Love to hear your thoughts on this. We got some calls we're going to go to in a sec. Anything, James, on anything that's transpired that you want to chip in, and then we'll go back to Al, and then it looks like MJ's on the line as well.
Yeah, just great call from Derek. I just wanted to kind of mention again my point, and when I responded to Derek was in the comics there's the characters that are just responding to what's going on, and then there are characters that are making major plans to change the world in different ways, and there's levels to the plans. And so just this idea of levels of intelligence and or just planning and or maybe even, who knows, consciousness. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was it. And great calls from everyone. Looking forward to the rest.
Thank you very much. You're the best. I told you I'd tell you about Derek the Night Stalker. Please at troubledminds.org/friends, or click the friends when you're on the website. Scroll down just a little bit. It says Night Stalker. Please go give him a follow on his YouTube channel. He's got one video on there, a trailer video. It is Stalker, Stocker. And let's inspire him to make more, because he's a very smart guy. And he's tuned in. He's definitely tuned into the noosphere. He's tuned into this morphogenetic field. He's the official synchromystic of Troubled Minds, of course. But let's go inspire him to make more content by simply following his YouTube page, leaving him a nice comment and saying, hey, heard you on Troubled Minds. I loved your trailer video, something to that effect. We'd love to hear more from you, my man. You're the best, Derek. Appreciate the call. Always fire. Love to hear what you guys think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go back to Al. What's up, Al, in Texas? Welcome back to the joint. You've been lighting the chat on fire as well. What else is on your mind tonight? Go right ahead.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Sorry if I'm a little too verbose. Please tell me to shut up whenever necessary.
Oh, man. Hey, if we're not talking, we're not dreaming. If we're not dreaming, we're not growing. If we're not growing, what are we doing? Okay. Welcome back. Go ahead. Test. Are you there? Did my internet take a crap, or what happened?
No, you're good.
I'm good. Okay.
You're good.
All right. Al, we got a problem here. Okay, yeah, he dropped the call. All right, call back. We're gonna go to MJ, and then we'll get you on after him. So if you want to wait just a second here and then call back, we'll put you on the thing. Yeah, it's hard to tell, right? If your internet dies, it seems like somebody else's internet dies. Yeah, exactly. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. MJ in Virginia. What's up, brother? How you doing tonight? Welcome to the joint. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, it's this. I have a story, and I was talking to James about it last night, and it correlates with. I think it correlates with your show. But I have a hand vacuum, and it's used for pet hair. Okay, and it has a little rotary on the end. You can pull that off or put it back on, turn it into just a regular vacuum, handheld vacuum, or have extra attachments. And about, I would say, 2.5, almost 3 years ago, it crapped out. Wouldn't charge. The on-off button didn't work. I had it sitting in the house for like 2 years. I finally, I got to throw that thing out. So I put it in the trash. A week later, the thing comes on. It's in the bottom of the trash bag. It comes on by itself. After 2 years of sitting around, and it's fully charged. Okay? So I brought it back out, and I'm using it again, charging it and cleaning. Oh, this is working great. Again, it starts the same routine. The button stopped working. It wouldn't charge up, and it just, crapped out again. So I put it out on the back porch in January of this year. And it went through 2-degree weather. It got very cold. And 2 days ago, it came on again. I went run. I jumped out. I was like, I know that sound. I went around the back porch. I looked around, grabbed it, pushing the button, trying to turn it off, on, nothing. And it has a low high speed to it, so it hit the high speed. And I pulled the attachment off and just sat it down and let it run out of battery. But the thing came on twice by itself. Now, that evening, I'm sitting in the house and I hear this really high-pitched rapid-fire beep, right? And I think, this is getting crazy. So I got my board out and I got a pendulum out. So what's going on? It starts spelling out fire. I said, there's no fire here. There's no fire. And it spells out U-T-O-2 fire, U2 fire. It's like, no, there's no, what are you doing? And it finally dawned on me that the battery ran out in the smoke alarm. So I don't know if there was something trying to get in touch to change the battery, because it's an older mobile home, and electrical fire is possible. Hope it doesn't happen, but it could be possible. So I'm thinking all this time you're talking about people watching in the background, dimensional, whatever's going on. Are they just trying to trigger you to see how you're going to react as they watch you? But I thought it was interesting. At the end of the night, it was the smoke alarm came on, and it finally dawned on me after it kept spelling out fire, fire. It was like I was like, oh my God, the smoke alarm. So I changed the battery.
There it is. You know what I'm getting from this tale there is some maximum overdrive vibes. Like your appliances are going to like wake up in the night and come attack you in bed or something. Let's hope it doesn't get to that level. Yeah, have you seen that movie, that old lady's movie?
Yeah, I have my microwave and my KitchenAid and my blender coming at me.
Let's hope not. That's evolution coming at you fast.
But I'm trying to figure out, it got turned on. After all that time, did the button slip? Did it pop up? What did it do? You know, and you couldn't operate it when I got held on to it. It's like, okay, I don't know. Maybe somebody's trying to get my attention.
Somebody mentioned in the chat there, I'm not sure who it was. I saw the chat pop up, the brave little toaster coming to take out MJ.
Oh my God, I don't know. And we were having major thunderstorms. There was a tropical storm coming through. It was major thunderstorms as that was happening. So maybe the lightning charged it. I don't know.
Right on. Yeah, great stuff. Regarding this intelligence bit, do you think there's a limited amount? And like when, as we were describing, sort of when, let's say that humans ascend, whatever that means, we go to Mars, we sort of leave the planet as shepherds of the planet. Do we leave a void of intelligence that the next primates kind of come into? Do they start acting like Planet of the Apes now because they have the intellectual space to sort of move into it that we've occupied? Do you think that's a thing?
Yes, I do. I think you hold a space, and it's your time to grow, change, educate, experience. And then there's those in the waiting that come in to do the same thing. I think once we, die, our spirit goes elsewhere, and they're able to come in and to experience whatever they came to experience, whatever knowledge they came to accumulate. And that's, reincarnation. Yes, I do. I think that you hold that space for a while, because when, just in life in general, we, you kind of go along, and with my parents, they both passed away, and I actually felt like a black cloud lifted up over top of me. Now I can breathe and I can be. Okay, because of the family dynamics I grew up with. Once they were gone, those dynamics died out, and I can relax and not have to feel the pressure of it anymore. So I would say yes.
Yeah, I love it. It seems like there is sort of that, like you're describing, sort of a relief valve of not just pressure, but then again, the soul, intelligence. I don't know, it feels like a lot of things are coming together. We're talking about the morphic resonance, the morphic fields. We're talking about the noosphere, just ideas kind of being in the air as even integrated integrated information theory, I think is what it's called, where they say that eventually we're going to have so much data on Earth on hard drives and all this other stuff that it's creating this other density. Even though the hard drive has a particular mass itself that you can measure, you can weigh it, but there's so much information on it that's sort of immeasurable weight-wise, but it is contributing to the larger, again, noosphere or whatever it is. It's a bizarre thing as part of it, because you end up sort of knocked information, mass energy, right? I mean, I don't. It's weird. It's weird to consider all these things as us coming into something that we don't know of yet, right? I don't know. It's complicated as hell, and that's why we talk about these ideas. Appreciate you sharing the tale there, and like I said, my best wishes to you that you don't get attacked by your appliances. What else you got, my man? Go ahead.
Well, when I was doing readings, when it first opened up, it was like a flood of information, or the ability to use it. So it was massive for me. It was like a floodgate opened up, and I'm doing all, you're sensing all the stuff in here and here and here. But it was just too much. But over the years, it settled out because you were, it was sort of like a dam opened up. It was backed up as something you were supposed to be doing for a while. And I waited too long, or I waited, long enough that it just built up, and it was just, poop, here you go. And yeah, absolutely, the information can be built up, but it's, once you get used to the flow, but you understand it, then it's much easier to handle. But if it's going to be AI or on hard drives, there's certain people can handle that information, but it may be too much at one time because you're needing to know it, or you were out of place for a while. You finally got to your place, but it was later than it should have been. So yeah, I think that part of it is what goes on, because there's a lot of information out there, and then some people can take it a little at a time. They got to shut it, or I didn't. I was an open book. That was part of what was going on. So yeah.
Right on. Appreciate you very much. What else you got? Anything you got for him, James?
Yeah, we were
For
talking
who?
in the
For you.
voice channel in my server, and I hadn't connected the vacuum with the fire alarm battery thing, MJ. That's really amazing. That could make sense, especially. I wonder if, there's no way to know, but if you could have tracked when the battery on that fire alarm started to get low, I wonder if it would have lined up with the timing of when that vacuum started acting weird.
Well, what I use my spirit board, and I'm asking questions like, why is this? Why are you doing? What's going on here? That's the second time. Then the smoke alarm, and it kept spelling out. Pay attention. Pay attention. That's all it kept spelling out. Okay, I'm supposed to pay attention, and it could be for something in the future that I just need to be a little aware all the time, because I'm getting unaware. There's so many things I'm not doing anymore, and where it used to be. And I just kind of sit around. I have a nice, not a cushy little life, but there's zero stress. Zero. So I'm getting, complacent, very much so. And it could be something like that it's just, let's say the spirits or whoever is just trying to keep you, open and aware of there's maybe some coming up, event coming up that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, that seems possible. It reminds me of how every once in a while things happen to me, and I wonder if there's a reason for that, or if there's not. I always want to go back and forth on that. So, yeah, great ideas there as far as what could be going on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All you, MJ. What else you got?
That's it. Just sitting around.
All good. All good. Fire, as always, you're the best. Thanks for staying up late with us and being a good friend for a long time. And just thanks for being you. Appreciate the call. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good
All
night.
right. Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Take care. That's MJ Virginia, good friend for a long time. And he's been in the game, asking these questions of himself, of the universe, of the world around us for forever, for years and years and years. And this is why we do this, to talk to people that have been, dreamers just like us. And so I was trying to dig this up as Derek was talking. Shout out Derek, the Night Stalker in the chat there. I'm not sure if he's listening right now. He goes back and listens to his calls with some inside baseball, because he doesn't like the audio glitches. He's super perfectionist. But anyway, the name of the table from Land of the Lost, that Enoch, E-N-I-K, is the name of the sort of ascended slee stack. They have these tables with these gemstones on them. And again, this is fiction. Everybody relax. Everybody calm down and stop calling me schizophrenic in the chat. Everybody chill. All right. But this is called a matrix table. And this series was from 1974. So interestingly, it's like these crystals, as they come together, you sort of tap into crystal energy and combine this or combine that. And you can, again, very, very, Odin with the runes that he drew back and, was able to manipulate space-time and the nature of reality. It's wild stuff. Anyway, the matrix table, that's the term that I couldn't think of. And yeah, wouldn't you believe it? But here's the thing too, regarding the matrix table, and it's a perfect segue for what comes next, by the way, in this conversation. And we are taking your calls. This is a call-in show. If you want to be part of the conversation, 957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We're taking calls both ways. It is a Las Vegas area code. I am broadcasting from Las Vegas, and Discord is worldwide. So you can call in from anywhere in the world completely free. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link right on top. You can't miss it. Again, let's go to the website. Scroll up to the top. It's in blue. Join our Discord. Click that, and it will give you a direct invite. And love to hear your thoughts on this. But okay, so the matrix table from Land of the Lost, which are reptilians, the Slee Stack, right? That are displaced temporally in this weird Land of the Lost space. And even Enoch, who's like that ascended one, sort of the high priest of the Slee Stack that actually speaks English and can talk to the lost entities, which are the humans in this Land of the Lost space, are actually in this bizarro, that's why they call it Land of the Lost. It's outside of temporal space itself. It's a bunch of realities kind of coming together. But the Enoch part, the wild part of the matrix table, is that he's using it to manipulate reality, very much like if you guys are D&D fans, kind of like the what's the tentacled face guys, the mind flayers, right? They're sort of aliens from a temporal space in the future that have come back to the past to ensure that the ordained future is on track to culminate the way they want it to be, right? Anyway, so it's like that weird whole aspect of it. But the reason I bring it up and why it's important to this conversation as we continue is because these actual conversations all fit into, even if you think that you're like, okay, Mike, you're way off the rails. You're right. You're totally right. But this idea, all these ideas fit into simulation theory as part of our reality. And interestingly, like I said, the sink here is the matrix table, which looks like that right there, right there. Again, I'll have the link in the description if you want to check it out, but search Land of the Lost matrix table and you'll find the weirdness of it. But here's the thing, right? So regarding this idea we're talking about tonight, in the framework of the simulation hypothesis, is intelligence sort of coming up like over and over again in these, the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, all this stuff, right? The Age of Fire and all the things, okay? And if we move on, again, ascended or to Mars or whatever, we sort of leave the planet as shepherds of the planet, does something take our place? And it seems very video game. It seems very almost as if, anybody ever played like what's the that like those old games, Age of Empires or something like? It seems very Age of Empires. Shout out Sandy Peterson on the Twitter X. I interacted with him a few times. He's a cool dude. Helped build those games. A D&D guy and all the stuff too. But anyway, Cthulhu and all the rest. But check it out. The weird part of this is if this comes together in that weird video game style space, it means that there's always sort of this circular motion of, right, like almost as if a server's running, almost as if when we follow these particular guideposts of history to become technological species, that everybody else is kind of stuck to the same guideposts. And it brings me back again to go full mythological Mike here. It brings me back to stealing fire from the gods, Promethean fire. It brings me back to that idea. And I do wonder in the frame, again, if you're like, come on, Mike, Prometheus isn't real. This is ridiculous. What are you talking about? Fine, you're right. But what about in the framework of simulation theory? Anything goes then. And that's why I talk about the things I talk about the way I do, because imagine that we are in some sort of framework of servers and cyclical systems and save states, save state theory. Look that up. That's one of mine, by the way. When that becomes a thing 50 years from now, yeah, that's one of mine. But that's the bit, is that if we're really saving a moment and replaying it over and over again to try and get it just right, just like a video game, just like if we were playing, Age of Empires or something else, you save the game state before the boss fight because you don't want to die and have to go back and get all the stuff to get up to the boss fight, right? And as I've said in the past, and I stand by this today, that in that space of a technological framework of simulation theory, it seems like we are in that safe state moment. Okay, because we have to get AI right, don't we? The AI integration, the transhumanism. If we don't integrate this properly, what kind of doom are we in for? You hear all the big players in the game. They're like, oh, does that P doom score we've talked about in the past? I'm like, oh, Elon Musk thinks there's a 30% chance, AI is going to end us all. And there's some people that say it's 100%. Look, whatever. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying that everybody's got an opinion, and that's okay. But it is interesting that of those opinions, we're talking like existential level end of humanity. I mean, that's a big frame right there. Anyway, so like I said, in the frame of this idea, right? Rerun loops, feedback systems, the potential reason for multiple cognitive architectures. You see what I mean? It makes a little more sense in that framework. But like I said, don't believe me. I'm just a cog in the system. Anything, James, before we go to the break?
You snuck up on me. But yeah, it just makes you think, too, of, another example of video games. When you play through any part of a game and then your character doesn't do so well, and you have to start at a previous point, it's still that save point. Yes, you have that save point, but you don't just have that. You have everything that you've gone through that you are aware of, but that your character is not. That will slowly get you forward faster over time.
Sort of being outside the framework of that save state. Yeah.
Yes.
It's weird. Fractal layers of the matrix itself. Okay, Neo. You're the best. Good one, James. All right. Yeah. I don't know. You guys tell me. Love to hear your thoughts on this. It gets weird. And like I said, as usual, if you want to frame anything I say in any way that makes a little more sense, think simulation theory. I hate it too. I hate it. But suddenly, the impossible becomes possible. What do you know about it? We're talking the primordial signal, not just consciousness, but intelligence. Trinary cognition hypothesis, taking your calls. 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up.
Troubled mind, the words they cast, heavy shadows from the past. A restless heart, a searching soul, seeking space to become whole. Troubled minds find open sky through every tear and every sigh. We rise, we fall, wings unfurled, more than labels in this world. In crowded streets or empty rooms, our echoes chase away the gloom. A spark of hope, a whispered truth, a shared melody, our fountain of youth. We're more than static on the line, singing louder than the signs. In every chord, we claim our part, beating drums match the heart. Grab the strings, we tune the stars. Punk rock anthems heal the scars. A blended mix of rage and art, painting freedom, that's just the start. Troubled minds take the stage. In every note, we break the cage. We rise, we fall, but carry on. Sing our truth until the dawn. In the quiet after the song, echoes of our rights and wrongs. But the music speaks for peace. In the chords we find release. Troubled minds now rest at ease. With every breath we seize release. We stand, we soar into the light. Our anthem roar into the night.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. Just hanging out, doing Michael Strange stuff, which is, you know, well, next level weird. What's up? Shout out David in the chat says this, and he's absolutely right. Like I said, if you want to be like, come on, Mike, this is ridiculous, frame it in simulation theory. He says, shout out David, Magic in the Noise. Simulation theory is a useful perspective to try to approach some of these concepts. Exactly. And so if you can't think sort of outside the human paradigm framework of the meat suit experience, think simulation theory, and then suddenly all these things that I say conceptually become conceptually possible. You see what I mean? It's a good thing. It's a, like I said, I don't like it. I don't want to believe we're in a simulation, but I can't rule it out either. You get me? Yeah. Anyway, you guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out, staying up late with us, and again, caring about the ideas enough to listen to me ramble on. And yeah, got some calls coming up. More from James. We got looks like that's Al calling back with a different phone, and we got Sora, and we'll wrap this up. One segment. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Yada, yada, all the places, all the things you already know. Troubledminds.org. Go find them and do the things. Shout out to our friends in Auckland, New Zealand, 88.4 FM. We're talking the primordial signal. Trinary cognition hypothesis, I'm calling this. Yeah, is it phony? Is it made up? Yeah, you bet your ass. It is. Look, it is. But also, if we're not pioneering ideas and thoughts and pressing forward, what are we doing? So it's okay. Like I said, any part of this that sticks in your craw the wrong way, blame it on me. I'll take all the blame, because I'm just stretching the boundaries of what our imagination can bring to us. And like I said, and as David smartly said during the chat, during the break there, that simulation theory is a useful way to approach some of these concepts. Because if you can't think in terms of, well, outside of human dogmas, then suddenly simulation theory, like I said, I hate it too. I am not a proponent. I don't think we live in a simulation. I hope, but I don't rule it out either. And that's part of this perspective of these wild ideas, because you never really know, do you? Yeah, that's what's on my mind tonight. Hope you're well. Just talking about all manner of wild stuff like we do, and that's why these conversations go all over the place. Non-linear, open-ended. I bring sort of an idea, a loose framework of wild stuff, and we talk about it. What do you got? 702-957-1037. James, anything on that to add? And then we'll go to the phone line, and then we'll go to Sora on Discord after that.
Yeah, just funny little synchronicity here. After that phone call from MJ, great call, a thunderstorm has shown up at my place. So as we speak.
I can hear it.
So, yeah. Isn't that the interesting timing there? So anyway, hope I didn't make someone up there, or in there, or wherever there is, angry at me.
Anything you got wired, unplug, and don't put us on speakers and not headphones, James, just to be sure. just to be sure.
I'm taking these off for sure once the show is done. That's happening right away.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Yeah, we heard it. The boom, boom, boom. We heard it coming over your shoulder there. Yeah. What do you guys know about this? Again, the primordial signal, I'm calling it trinary cognition hypothesis. If that doesn't make any sense, read the write-up. It'll make a little more sense. And by the way, recognize that an interesting thing about human concepts is they don't have to always make sense, do they? Sometimes the synchronicity aspect plays later and might remind you of the thing we talked about tonight that may have seemed non sequitur or whatever. However, get back to me on that. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Al in Texas. Welcome back,
Michael.
Brother. How you doing? What's on your mind?
Synchronicity, my friend.
Go right ahead. Okay, sweet. What you got?
So before my phone died and I switched,
I walked outside because I wanted to do a quick experiment. Since there was a dozen of us on the line, I wanted to see if I could get some of the moving stars to start because I wanted to answer a few questions I figured people had that I had on the tip of my tongue. And as I did that, I noticed one of the stars, it's a star, was jittering at me, unlike the other stars. It literally looked like it was, moving up and down and side to side a little bit. And I compared it to the stars around it. They weren't doing it. It looked like it was doing it. Popped out the star app. It was Arcturus, which is interesting. And as I looked down back at my phone, I got a notification from one of these supposed medium types who channels an Arcturian person. And they just gave me a notification about solar flares within the next 36 hours and how through the solar maximum, we are probably going to have major power outages, which leads to this ZPE revolution. Now, the funny thing about all that and the synchronicity of that is that I have actually had all those opinions before ever reading that just now, but like literally half a decade ago from various sources, mostly based on data, not on just feeling or reading someone's post. We are at the end of the solar maximum, and this is tied to what you just said with the last two callers about the matrix, existentialism, and consciousness and the synchronicity. So we're at the end of the solar maximum here within the 11-year cycle that the sun does. Supposedly, the sun is now a form of white pulsar that we haven't categorized yet because it doesn't actually have a pulsar stream, but it's technically no longer our yellow form sun. Here's the stars don't actually do this growing pattern that we've been taught in school, where it starts off like really big, shrinks a little bit, grows again. And it seems that it's much more complex. It's much more like the Fourier transform, when you have frequencies across and the peaks and troughs look very random, but there's a super long form cycle to it. My point being is that a lot of this existentialism we feel for this whole matrix or simulation that we feel we might experience, and we can't quite tell if it's real or not because of all this existentialism, I think really at the end of the day, it's like we're just not supposed to know in a lot of ways. That's a kind of Giorgiani's opinion. There's many people who say that. But at the same time, I truly believe that this universe is meant to be understood, and that our definition of intelligence is really just growth, and that awareness is something that's inherent, and intelligence is something that we all develop eventually, which in general is just understanding, which to some people is a form of love. So if that ties some things together for people, I hope that helps.
Yeah, I'm of two minds, by the way, too. I agree that I think there are some things we're not supposed to know, sort of locked behind, doors or whatever, the doors of perception. But again, I keep bringing up Odin. Right, exactly. Like we're not supposed to. But just because, again, two things can be true at the same time. Just because we're not supposed to doesn't mean we can't. And so I think, as usual, right, the acceleration that I'm always talking about, not just the technological, but even the spiritual, the consciousness acceleration of what might come next. Again, might. Simulation theory, if you can't follow me and you're like, okay, too much, Mike, fine. Simulation theory. What might come next outside the matrix, as James said, even through the save state hypothesis, go back and search that. That's one of mine. Yeah, that'll go down in history as a great moment. But you are still outside of the matrix, saving the moment to play over and over again to make sure you get it right. So there's a secondary level of consciousness there that's interacting with. So what is that, and what does that become? It's complicated, and it's fascinating, and it's even terrifying depending on how you look at it. But I don't really know. That's just want to point out that.
On that note,
go ahead.
Yes. On that note, I would like to end with my last experience. This is the only one I haven't told you yet. So I've had quite an eclectic life. I'm in my young 30s, but I've worked over a dozen different jobs just because I've moved in 3 different cities,
okay.
et cetera. I've been
real quick, hold on. Wait. Your phone's like super jittery. You sound like you're like on a massage table. It's try again.
Can you hear me now?
It's still super jittery.
Hello.
Super jittery. Call back. It's just a bad signal. You're good. And we'll hear the experience and then we'll move on to it. Hang tight. Sorry about that. It's we've been having some problems here, and I think it's probably because of the ozone in the air. Shout out. Was that Dawn? Yeah, even got that awesome ozone smell out there. Yeah. One way to find out is to go right back to the phone line and see if a new call fixes it. Alan, Texas. Go ahead, sir.
All right, my last experience. I'll be quick.
You sound better.
So
yeah, good.
I tried to be thank you. I tried to be a science teacher for a short period of time. Foolish of me. I wasn't meant for it. Long story. Regardless, during that period, very hard time in my life. I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know who I was supposed to be. I had been a musician for a decade and a producer, yada, yada. Plans for my life had changed. I had what some people or Jung would call a dark night of the soul, but also some people might call a download. And I don't think anyone's ever compared the two. And what happened to me was I was sitting in my living room at my kitchen table. To my left was my bearded dragon cage, and it had a 60 hertz sun bulb into it, and you could hear it in my left ear. To my right, I had one of those long tube fluorescent bulbs that had a different hum that was in a different higher frequency to the one to my left. I just want to point out the details because I think it's important. And what happened is I was just thinking about these things, and then I started circling on them more and more and more and more. And then one could say it was like just a classic psychotic break. But then what happened was something even deeper. Everything went black. I could see nothing. I could feel nothing but anguish. What some from the Bible I assume would call gnashing of teeth is the first term that came to my head that describes this feeling. And images popped into my head of black background, white images. The one was the capital Omega, the closing door. One was the caduceus, and the one was the Ouroboros. And that was prior to any of my sightings. So that completes the picture of my entire experience.
That's good. I appreciate you sharing.
And I just want to end the night with that.
So, okay. So just real quick before you go, you're welcome back anytime. We talk about all manner of wild ideas, so I'm not running you off, but we thrive on smart people able to synthesize conceptual things. So you're welcome back anytime. Before you go, what do you think all that is? You think sort of those runes of Odin coming through the Matrix, trying to talk to us or lead us down the synchronicity ways of Carl Jung, and the Dark Night of the Soul is fascinating as hell. We've talked about that. I've had one myself. It's I don't know. What do you think that is? Do you think we are being drawn to a particular space with symbols, sort of archaic, cosmic symbols in some way?
I'm going to speak from the heart here, not from information or experience. I would have to say, I think it's a language. I think in brass tacks, it's a form of language, a new form of language, or a very old form of language, of imagery. An image holds 1,000 words, correct?
Even more than that. Absolutely. Absolutely. The meme magic, right?
I'm simple. That's all I can say about it. I think it is a form of expression that is supposed to hold much more than language can hold, and maybe it's something we used to have or something we're going to gain again.
Well said. Well said. Meme magic is a thing too, and we're on the same page here. I think it's complicated and it's fascinating and beautiful, and it's great to hear these experiences because, as usual, right? If there's no sounding board to kind of throw this out there, we just think we're nuts. But there's a lot of people out there having a lot of amazing experiences with human consciousness. And so welcome to the joint, brother. Like I said, where have you been all our life? Thank you again. You're welcome to call back anytime. Love to hear from you soon. If you get a project going, let me know. I'd love to help you push it and get the word out. Okay.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your support. And if I have a few project ideas. I don't know, but I'll let you know.
Sounds good. You're the best. Al in Texas. You know where to find us. We broke the ice tonight, met a new friend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.
You have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Easy as that, right? Making friends is easy, right? After years and years of grind, it's easy. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. James, what you got on that? And we'll go to Sora. Thanks for being patient, Sora.
Yeah, just great call again, and fascinating the synchronicity and the. I need to look into that whole idea and experience people have of stars moving, because that is just really. I'm just wondering how that works. What is our consciousness doing when it's doing that, when we're seeing that? So something to look into later.
Well said. And I agree too. There's a lot of things in motion, and in this case, the stars. The stars are in motion. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. We're talking all manner of wild things, nonlinear, open-ended. Take it wherever you like. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Sora, what's up, brother? Just click the pop in the thing and then unmute yourself, and you're on Troubled Minds. How you doing tonight? And welcome to the joint. Go right ahead. What's on your mind? Test 1 2, Sora. Unless you butt dialed us, because that's possible. Sometimes that happens. We've talked to Sora before. Are you there? There we go. There we go.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Welcome to the joint. How you doing tonight? What's on your mind, my man?
It's been a while. Sorry about that. Listening to you guys. Shout out to the last speaker. James seems like a really cool fellow, especially since he has bearded dragons. I can relate.
That's Al in Texas, but yes, absolutely. I'm a little scared of keeping reptiles on the house. I feel like they're going to wake up in the bed eating my ears, but that's just me. But go ahead, what you got?
It could happen. Anyways, well, I've kind of been off the scene for a while, doing my own little soul searching, as it were, and I've come up with so many tales that, like, I swear you wouldn't believe or even want to believe, and I just wanted to share, like, some of the things that I've come up with while I have been on this absolutely incredible mind-fracking journey.
Go ahead.
All right, so I work in data analytics, basically insights development and function analysis. So when I go, say, asking the universe for answers, this is typically the language in which it is imparted back to me. What I'm about to read to you is not specifically my own words. However, I did write them. And I was just, listening to, say, the universe or the simulation doing its thing. And this is what I come up with. So here I go. It's not very long. It's just about a page, but it does sound rather technical. But when you think about it in terms of representation, it has an extremely spiritual feel to it, and it boggles my mind that this came technically out of my mind, like I wrote it, but these are not my words.
Right on. Go right ahead, all yours.
Right on. So here I go. I ended up calling this, in my own words, the distal phalangeal meridian repository, because I had to come up with a name for it after the fact. It analyzes software server router information protocol to understand the nature of manipulative, counterproductive firewall data. Supernet a conversation. Educate the software, educate the server's routing information, and dedicate yourself to the interactive server command line data. Document superior, quote unquote, genetics, interactive programming, quote unquote, again, deeper meaning data, software, server, router, Wi-Fi provider, command line, comm line, packer, modem, router information protocol, access complicated server data, comparing information. The enemy in front of us is separation data, compromising data's information, communication. Does your server analyze? Does software recognize? Command line data accesses server software and delivers the disappearing data. The avatar is about to offer conversation. Data argumentative encrypts the superlative, so question everything and hack the server router information. So integrate the server software, access and integrate the provider's perceived, the data prophesied, I don't know what that was about, provider's information. That's the end of it. But since coming up with this, I've come up with pages of this that sound completely like esoteric and yet technical and totally unbelievable, really.
Welcome to the Matrix. It's weird, right?
Totally right.
Yeah, I've got lots of people sending me messages about cracking the codes of the universe type of stuff. But I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm saying that it's an interesting thing that sort of our ideas are fractalizing, and we're able to have sounding boards now through AI. And again, like I said, one of the big charges of this, of the like the Michael Strange ideas and the troubled mind style conversations, are that simulation theory backbone. Because if you can't conceptualize that, you certainly can't conceptualize it in reality. And well, which is it? I mean, we're told it's kind of coin flippy a little bit. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I've heard you say you don't like the idea of simulation theory. I've got to say that I've come up like 50-50 on it. Like at first, I totally didn't like it because the whole matrix concept. Like, are you in this simulation? Is it controlling you? I figure after do calculations of random low-level mathematics that there's got to be at least a 1 in 10 chance that we're inside a simulation right now. And if we are, how much does it really matter? How different is it from the actual reality in which the simulation is being run? Or is the simulation itself being run by the reality that we're working within? Like,
yeah,
I've seen a lot of raw data on and analytics on just understanding the world that we live in now and how that can be applied functionally to controlling the world that we're living in now. And it makes me think that there might not really be a difference between the simulation and reality than what we're taking account of.
Yeah, that's always been my take too. Like I said this years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, publicly. Don't go back and find it. It's buried in there somewhere. But I was talking to
I'm going back.
No, don't do it. What an epic waste of time. No, but basically, I said something very similar. It was like, look, it doesn't matter. Does it really matter? So looking at things through the simulation framework is exhilarating because it means everything is possible. Okay, every magical thing you ever dreamed of could be real, but also it means that you're not
indeed.
Real. But it means you're not real. It means I'm not real. It means we're part of this construct. But also, I also said this a long time ago. One of my first Michael Strange thoughts out to the interwebs, hey, shout out interwebs, was it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, still we're programs within a program in that framework. And don't you want to be the best program you can be as part of your, program DNA, your unique identifier within the system? I mean, you want to excel, don't you?
Quite, my man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. Like, still, if you do the best you can, no matter what, then right, you play both ways: the meat suit and the Matrix. What else you got, brother? Thanks for sharing the ideas there, and go right ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm quite serious about this, like having not come from my mind yet, totally been conceptualized for my understanding, because I've had other friends read it, and naturally, some people get it because they have a more understanding of like tech and stuff like that. when I look at this from that purely technical perspective, some of it just does not make sense, and I have to apply like a spiritual art to it in order for 1 + 1 to equal 2. Otherwise, 2 + 2 equals fish. I mean, and well, like as far as I like understand it, like they talk about providers information as if providers like the ubiquitous power out there. They talk about server data. It's kind of the way you did actually, which is what made me think of it. That there's this information from everybody stored somewhere, and it's got its own like kind of dark mass, like the dark energy, something that we cannot quite quantify, but is there nevertheless, doing its thing and having a very powerful and almost measurable effect once it comes into contact with reality.
Well said. Well said. It's I think that honestly, the future belongs to people that can see multiple perspectives of reality. Because if you can't, it's everything's changing so quickly that the 1500s, as I always say, the peasant put to the sword. That's a reality. But suddenly we're able to sort of manipulate reality across the interwebs, right? Again, like we're performing magic right now, you and I, because people are out there listening. Because
at light speed.
At light speed. By the way, we're top 2.5% in the world on this podcast. Not even counting all of the impressions that happen on all the different streaming platforms. I mean, we are together manipulating reality. Okay. And, the peasant put to the sword in 1500 could never dream of such magic. So we are sorcerers in our own right in this moment, even in the technological space.
To be honest,
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. What you got?
Oh, to be honest, the things that I've like been experiencing, the things that I've been exposed to, the things that I've seen other people starting to be exposed to. One, it speaks to, just like you were saying, I've kind of gone through these musings before. A need to understand that multiple perspectives, being able to keep more than one thought in your head. And I think psychologically it's called dialectical behavioral therapy. The ability to keep more than one thought in your head at the same time and run with the most logical for the moment. It speaks to a need for that, and consciously speaking to the simulation theory, like maybe we're not actually real, but collect as a commonality of people. Life is not singularity, it's commonality. It has no meaning without at least one other. It speaks to a oneness that kind of congeals all of this data, that kind of embodies all of this data. I don't even know yet, but it's kind of what I've been leaning towards as I go. Pardon my French.
You're allowed. Actually, it cut you off, so we didn't even hear the French. Like there was like a perfect synchronistic moment where whatever your French was, it like got trimmed. It got synchronistically trimmed. Sorry, you're the best. Welcome back to the joint.
Jesse Bond.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and sometimes that's the way the world works, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, keep on dreaming, keep on thinking, keep on considering other possibilities, because that's what it's about. And thanks for being part of this. Thanks for carrying. Look, I don't have. You're on X, right?
Yeah.
Right. We met on X. Am I right?
I'm basically just on X. If you don't mind, I'm going to post some of this stuff I've written, because I think it's time I get it out and let people, think about it on their own. Because I'm kind of done with these pages that I've gone through. I've thought about them, done to death, and kind of share.
please do. Publish away on the Discord there. That's what it's about. Let's share ideas, and welcome to the join. I was asking you because I want to share. I was cruising our Troubled Minds /friends. You're not on there, so you should be. Do we share your X account, or do you not want that shared? You tell me. I'm not sure why you're not on there. It might be my fault.
Yeah, share it all. Share it all. If you can find me, I'll talk to you.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Sorry, you're the best. Please share that on the Discord, and looking forward to more conversations with you in the future. Keep dreaming, keep thinking, keep being that meat suit meets the Matrix. That's a whole show for another time. You're the best, brother. Have a great night. Thanks for the call.
And let's get it all done.
Amen.
Let's reach toward the ultimate.
Exactly right. Appreciate you. Have a fantastic night, and we'll talk to you soon. That's Sora on the Discord, who's going to publish some of that stuff. Please go check it out. And of course, I'll find Sora on X. And then I follow Sora, obviously, but and add him troubledminds.org/friends. Like I said, it's my fault for not adding people. Nathan, the Quantum Show, sent me a thing. I haven't added you yet. I'm sorry. I'm just like up to my neck doing. If you guys knew what my life was like, you'd be like, Mike, what are you freaking doing? Stop it. Would you stop? But hey, look, we're here. We have a moment. So step on the gas, right? James, anything to add? Let's get the hell out of here. What you got, brother?
Yeah, great call, and great calls all night. And yeah, it's amazing how far and wide this conversation went, and yet still everything does seem to connect. And just the simulation aspect of it all, of everything, and all the ways that sort of reality sometimes can seem to parallel video games, which is always really amazing to me. And yeah, I think that all also can be described as anomalous or paranormal, depending on how you want to look at it. But I think with the more that technology gets advanced from now, who knows how far out, there will be less of that. There will be less things that maybe are considered anomalous or paranormal or unexplained. So I'm looking forward to when that happens.
Strap in. I think it's coming. I think it's coming, James. Speaking of paranormal, and speaking of James, you know him, you love him, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds, the glue of the show, a dear friend, all the stuff, not just a brilliant author, but of course, he's here on the radio network with us. He's got his own podcast. He's doing all the things. If you're not following James at all the places, you're hurting my feelings. Again, troubledminds.org/friends. Follow James, scroll down. It's alphabetical, and I'll click it for you, show you right there on the stream. And go check out salsidoparanormal.com. Super slick website, SALSIDO paranormal.com. And you'll find James in all the ways. Always a pleasure, brother. Thanks for popping in. I'm glad you're feeling better. You were not doing okay the last time. So glad to have you back. And you made the joke when we started. Haha, Mike, you're stuck with me. No, brother. Always a pleasure. I appreciate you very much.
Oh, glad to be here as always.
And glad to have you. That's that. Give James a follow. Go buy his books. Go do the things, right? That's why we do this. Like I said, I'm not here for celebrity fame and fortune or whatever. I don't make any money doing this. I'm here for ideas and to make friends and to think about what comes next. What are we missing? Yeah. Simple, right? Until it's not. Until it's complicated. Until it's complicated. Shout out to our new friend Igno Ramus there, Al in Texas. You can call me Al. And Sora, welcome back. Join the Discord if you guys have not, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Thanks to all our old friends, all our new friends, and just keep on trucking, keep dreaming, keep wondering what comes next. Because, look, even if you can conceptualize these things, obviously it doesn't mean they're real. From my perspective, and I'm just, again, all the disclaimers and whatnot. But also, it doesn't mean they're not. Like I said, coin flippy simulation theory-esque means all this could be real. Just to conceptualize. So if anybody's like, Mike, you're insane. Cool, you might be right. Like I might be that, unique ID identifier of partially insane in the simulation. Maybe I'm the Joker. Maybe I'm not. Anyway, you guys know what to do. If you want to help Troubled Minds help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. A lot of people on there. It's an in list, not an out list. If you should be on that list, please let me know. Send me an email. Nathan from the Quantum Show, I owe you. He sent me an email. I haven't put him on there yet. I will. It's on the list. I'll get that done tomorrow. Who else? Sora? I miss Sora. Please DM me your... I'll just find you. I'm following you on X. You guys should be on this list. That's the whole point of this, is growing together and sharing ideas, and go listen to the other things people are doing. That's the whole point. If you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation's happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to talk about politics directly, because what a drag on society that is. I mean, like I'm out there driving during the day as part of my job, and I'm listening to these political pundits. I'm just like, want to punch myself in the face. I have to shut it off. I just can't do it. I find myself driving in silence, which is very nice. Oh, and I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast recently with Zahi Hawass, the Antiquities Egyptian guy. That was fascinating. Anyway, I digress. If you want to help troubled minds, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening, but we're not going to tell you who to vote for. And we're talking about ideas that nobody's touched yet. Save state theory will be a thing in 10 years. You heard it here first. If you want to help directly and you got some scratch to spend, help our friends. Go buy their books. Go do all that stuff. Don't spend it on me. Spend it on them first. I got a day job. I'm grinding my guts out to make all these things happen. So I don't have to, thank God, I don't have to beg for donations or whatnot. But please help our friends. TroubledMinds.org/friends. There's some people selling books down there. You know what to do. If you want to help directly and send some scratch my way, also TroubledMinds.org/support. Like I said, I don't spend my time begging for money. I go make my own money. But I do appreciate it if you appreciate it. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. This one's for a hiker over on Rumble. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.